At 10 a.m, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. Ange Postecoglou understands the responsibility of taking charge at Nottingham Forest. He's spoken to the club's media channel.
I'm honoured, I'm humbled, but more importantly, really determined to make sure that this football club takes its rightful place.
Postecoglou's been brought in as a proven winner with Forest in the Europa League, but talkSPORT's Forest reporter Max Scott tells us Ange's Spurs losing 22 league games last season is a concern.
Forest are playing Thursday, Sunday. They've not had to do that for 30 years. And so I think there are reservations from fans about what that's going to look like in the Premier League.
Forest go to Arsenal next. That's live on talkSPORT this Saturday lunchtime. Thomas Tuchel is more than ready to leave out England's big names. He says the competition is on ahead of next summer's World Cup. But talkSPORT's Dean Ashton is worried about the lack of decent opposition in England's 34 games since losing to France in Qatar.
We've played 8 against the top 20 nations in the current rankings. 8. And those, obviously, some of those are in tournaments that the FA don't arrange.
Yeah.
We've won 3. Yeah. 2 of them were against Italy.
Meanwhile, FIFA is accused of living in a parallel universe over its dynamic pricing policy for World Cup tickets. Some fans could pay more for the same seats. Football Supporters Europe say FIFA doesn't really care about fans. FIFA say their model reflects what's already happening in North America and profits are used to grow the game. And after leaving Man United, free agent Christian Eriksen has joined Wolfsburg on a 2-year deal. More on this at talksport.com.
talkSPORT News.
A shooter in the US is still at large after influential Donald Trump ally Charlie Kirk was killed at a university event. And nearly half of Brits with cancer wait longer than a month to get their diagnosis due to delays in urgent NHS testing. More from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Get a free vehicle safety check at all of our 600 centres nationwide to keep you safe on the road. Visit your local centre or quickfit.com and book today.
In the northwest, wet and windy. Elsewhere, a mixture of sunshine and showers, some heavy with hail and thunder at times. Average temperatures today.
Good morning, everybody. You're listening to Jim White and Simon Jordan, and we are live on talkSPORT. So Postecoglou speaks for the first time as Nottingham Forest manager. But in this closed-shop division, what is Forest's rightful place? Meantime, Olympic silver medalist Ben Proud becomes the first British athlete to join the Enhanced Games. It's left many asking why. We'll find out from the man himself. He'll join us live very shortly. Also today, is Mbappe out of touch with reality? How regulator-ready is English football? Has the Saudi Pro League moved the reputational dial? Should clubs pass on fines to repeat offender fans? And from midday, we bring you a bumper boxing hour with Spencer Oliver. It's Jim White and Simon Jordan, and we are live on talkSPORT.
100% engagement.
Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
Are you really upbeat about Canelo Crawford?
Yes and no. I'm not salivating over it. I mean, I know it's a brilliant fight, and I shall watch it when I'm away in Spain. But I'm not. You know, I could have gone. I spoke to Turk Elishek a couple of weeks ago. He said, "Do you want to come over and watch the fight?" And I was like, I'd rather watch it on television than be part of all the hoo-ha that's going to be there.
The man himself offers you a seat, no doubt ringside in Vegas, and you say no.
But I think it's going to be a good fight, and I think Crawford, I mean, I'm tipping Crawford, which means you know what happens, the polar opposite will happen. But I'm not alone in tipping Crawford. Duke McKenzie's tipping him as well, and Spencer's tipping him as well. It'll be a great fight, and I mean, ultimately, you've got two elite fighters. I mean, we heard Paulie Malignaggi last week doing a number on Saul Alvarez, didn't we, about the fact that he's a bit of a ducker, and doesn't represent the industry the way he could do, and just takes the money and doesn't give people the opportunities that he should do, and ducks certain fighters like David Benavidez.
Yes.
Look, it's a spectacle. I mean, it's the sort of event that only certain people could put on, and obviously with the with the energy, momentum, and money behind the Saudis, they've achieved it.
Sure.
It's a fight for the ages, I suspect.
Okay. Simon, this is everywhere this morning. Back at the Times, GB star joins doping games. The Olympic silver medal winning swimmer Ben Proud has provoked an angry reaction by becoming the first British athlete to sign up for the Enhanced Games. A controversial event, to say the least of it, in which athletes are permitted to take performance-enhancing substances. Now, Ben Proud, everybody wants a word with him. He's going to join us live on the show this morning. But you wonder what I'm very keen to hear from him and find out as to why he's doing this.
Well, yeah. I mean, when I look at it and think, horses for courses, some people would say that it levels the playing field because at least everybody knows where they are. There's no doubt, and people are enhancing their performances. And in years to come, when we're talking about the gene sequencing that will come and the way that people can be produced in terms of what they want and how people look and the length and breadth of what science can get involved in to create this new race of super beings that inevitably artificial intelligence is going to be involved in. Yeah. It might be this is the precursor to some extent.
Could be.
I don't like it. I don't feel like I like it. I don't feel like I should like it.
You're uncomfortable with it.
I don't feel that it's what sport should be about.
Yeah.
But then again, you look at the advancement in sport. We're talking about, remember, we were talking about the Olympic records of the running shoes that people have got now. And the running shoes that people have got now are vastly different to the running shoes that people have times gone past, even down to whether it's Carl Lewis or Alan Wells, your guy, and all of those people that won Olympic golds that were given different support mechanisms in terms of the. But I know it's not
running
quite
shoes
the same.
and performance-enhancing drugs.
It's part of a similar discussion because performance-enhancing shoes actually create different outcomes. So I know it's not the same thing, but it is a derivative of it because the enhancement in the way that athletes are given opportunities to increase their performance, not just from education and awareness from diet and training regimes, but from actual equipment. Look at what they're doing in golf. I mean, golf is now saying that it's got to do something about the clubs because they hit the ball too long, because the golf course is now at a stage where they're driving on the links courses. They're driving from one end of the tee to the par fours, par fives are getting driven in twos.
Yes, yeah. Ben Proud, the GB star himself, will join us live on the show, and we'll get an opportunity to ask Ben, why are you doing this? Because in terms of reputational damage, I would have thought that it's as long-lasting as you might think it would be. A lot to get through this morning, and then later on this morning, Spencer Oliver will join us here in studio. And the world of boxing, not for the first time, is absolutely showing that it's alive and well. Many, many major fights being staged, and this one this weekend is very much for the purists, when Terence Crawford and Saul Alvarez Canelo go in against each other in Vegas. And Adam Catterall has been out there all week here to sit down with Crawford himself, and we'll be joining him. But closer to home in central London this morning, a financial services company called the BGC Group are hosting their annual charity day, raising funds for colleagues who were lost in the 9/11 terror attack. Over the years, Simon, I've been to this event. Sir Alex was there one year. Idris Elba was there. A whole host of people from a whole raft of different areas of the world of entertainment and sport turn up at it. As part of their fundraising effort, as I say, a host of film stars, TV personalities and sports stars come together, joining brokers on the trading floor at their London headquarters. And this morning is no different, and are all there to help this fundraising event. Amongst them, former Chelsea captain John Terry. And John joins us live on the show this morning. John, good morning.
Morning, Jim. Morning, Simon.
Morning, John.
John, good to speak to you. I've been at that event before, mate. I can hear the rabble in the background. It's exciting. It's crazy. You'll be thinking in about 20 minutes, you wonder what you've signed up to, but it's a great fundraising event.
It's a great day. There's always a buzz on the floor, and it's great to be here. I'm here for the John Terry Foundation, and I'm here to support Oasis today. So for two fantastic causes, and like I said, it's just a real buzz and a real privilege to be here.
John, it'll be interesting to see who you bump into because, as I say, it's star-studded. Well, you're there for a start, mate. So they'll no doubt be delighted that you're showing up. Well done for doing it. John, the Premier League returns this weekend. Before we get to that, how impressed were you the other night? Serbia 0, England 5.
Well, much more so than the Andorra game for sure. I thought it was a much better performance from the team. I thought they looked very comfortable. What I like as well, that we have a lot of strength and depth within the squad as well. So players coming in that are probably not the regulars. It'll be interesting to see when the likes of Saka's back, who he's going to play in front. Will he play Madueke? Will he play Saka? All of these guys. So it's good to see give the opportunity to some players that are kind of on the fringe of the squad as well. But game time, I think, for these boys are important, and I'm glad to see them kind of go out and play just with a real breath of fresh air and just go and play freely. That's what I like to see in the England team.
And John, does style really matter when it comes to the England team and international football? Is the result the all-important thing?
I think it is. I think you're never going to please everybody as well. I've been in those shoes as well. Like, Andorra's a difficult team to break down. I know Simon's probably sitting there shaking his head. That they are difficult to break down. They make it very difficult. But results is what it's about. For me, once you get to the tournament, it's also a results business as well. So not too many people look back at the performances kind of 2 weeks, 3 weeks after. I'm glad we finished this kind of international break with a positive after the Serbia game, which was good. So listen, I think the boys are looking great. We've shown we can do it on the top stage, and hopefully with Thomas involved now, he's the one that can maybe be the difference, just to flick the switch and give us that extra edge.
I was going to ask you that, John. I mean, you would have had some visibility of Tuchel at Chelsea perhaps, and obviously you will have an opinion on him. You played at England level, I suspect, for foreign managers that have been challenging, I imagine. What's your impression of Tuchel and the vision that Tuchel may have? He's been brought in to fill the gap that Southgate didn't do, which is make decisions at key times to be able to win opportunities that we didn't take. What's your overall impression of Tuchel?
I think firstly, Simon, having experience and seen him from the outside working at Chelsea, very ruthless, and I think the top managers have that edge. And when you're around certain managers, you have that little bit of a fear factor. Now, I'm an ex-player kind of being around it. I had that around him. He gave me that impression that I would, if I was playing for him, I'd want to impress him, I'd want to work for him, I'd want to do all of those things. But I genuinely believe, I think looking back at England over the last couple of tournaments, I think one of Gareth's kind of faults is not making those big decisions in those big games. I look back to when we played Italy in the final at Wembley a few years ago in the Euros. I'm looking, the two centre-halves were on yellow cards. It was an opportunity to take Kane off and put pure pace up front and make that big decision, taking your captain off and your main player. He didn't do it, and I think that's been a fault of Gareth's over the years. So I think Thomas can give us that extra edge. I was delighted. I thought Gareth done an unbelievable job with the team, and to get the whole nation back on side now, I think he's done a great job. But I think Thomas can really give us that edge, especially in those big tournaments as well. You only have to look at the Man City-Chelsea game in the Champions League final in 21 when we managed to beat them.
And John, Gehi Konsa, is that the defensive partnership for next summer?
Well, it looked very strong, didn't it? I think Mark has certainly cemented his place in the side, and Ezri's, you know, been a fantastic player as well. And I think when players get their opportunity to come onto the international stage and perform, he gets his goal on top of it as well to top off a good international break for him. But he's a great player. I love the fact he's got bundles of pace at the back as well, both of them. We can play a high and aggressive line, which I thought we'd done against Serbia. So for me, they would be the two favourites. Obviously, John Stones comes back into the fold. He needs to stay fit to give us the best opportunity, because I'm a big believer in having the best players on the plane and taking your best players, and John's certainly involved in that conversation.
And John, are you in the camp that you can't drop Jude Bellingham?
No, absolutely not. And I think that's where Thomas is going to be ruthless and show that ruthless side as well. I think everyone can be dropped, or if it's after 55, 60 minutes, I don't think Thomas is going to sit there and wonder for the next 10 minutes whether I need to take Jude off or if Harry needs to come off and we need a bit of pace up front. I think he's the man to make those big decisions.
John, Premier League returns this weekend. Now Liverpool have got their man, Alexander Isak, 125 million quid, and they've already got Ekitike, they've already got Florian Wirtz. Is it their title again?
I think it's theirs to lose, to be honest. I think they have a big motivation with the very sad loss of Diego Jota as well in the back of their minds as well. For that reason, I really hope Liverpool do it for that reason alone, Jim, to be honest. So I think they're the strongest side. I think Man City have shown vulnerability again this season. I'm not sure Chelsea have enough experience within their squad to push them. And also I don't want to put the pressure on the Chelsea squad as well. So I think it's Liverpool's to lose. And like I said, I wish them well for it.
What do you make of Isak's behaviour, John? I mean, obviously, you were at Chelsea for a long time. You were very committed to that football club. They probably had to drag you out at the end to go to Villa. What do you make of that sort of behaviour from Isak?
Probably very naive. I think this is where the agents play a big part as well. You only have to look at Gehi and the way he behaved, Simon, to look at how things should be done. Playing until you can't play any longer. I think everyone in not only football but in any industry wants to fulfil their dreams and go to the very top, and I think everyone's entitled to do that as well. I think if Isak would have stayed at Newcastle and expressed his determination to leave the football club but carried on training, carried on playing, I think the reception would have been very well received, I think, from everyone at Newcastle because they understand that as well. I think the way he behaved wasn't the right way to go about it. I'm sure the players within the squad let him know that within the time as well. But I just think nowadays we see players very badly advised.
John, you said that Chelsea may be not ready to win the title this time around, but we're talking about the club World Cup champions, Mr. Terry.
You're officially the best team in the world, Jim, so we're happy with that. We're happy with that at the minute. But also, I don't want to put too much pressure on the boys as well. We are a young squad, and I think with this year, with the experience of maybe pushing the other teams close, I think we have a chance to be up there, and we should be because we're Chelsea. And I think any top side or any young or experienced player going into the season going, oh, we can't win it, shouldn't be playing at the top level. So I think every Chelsea player should believe that we can go and win it. Do I think we will? No, I don't, being honest with you. But I think we'll be right amongst it, and I think we should be.
John, when I spoke to you about 18 months ago when we did that up front, we talked about Chelsea and the culture in there and the young players coming through, and you were optimistic for the future. It's moved on 18 months. Maresco's come in there. Are you impressed with what he's done? Are you impressed with the direction of travel? And do you anticipate that Chelsea, like I do, are going to be knocking on the door sooner rather than later?
Yeah, I've been very impressed with him, Simon, to be honest. I've been across, he's very inviting with me, he lets me. I'm obviously working in the academy, so I head over a couple of times when the young players head over to the first team, and I get to see him work as well, and he's very personal with the players as well. And I think the biggest thing for any manager this year or in the last couple of years has been to be really close to the players, and he seems to have a real good connection with the younger players as well. He's very young himself, he understands the players, he understands what they want, and he's certainly getting the best out of them at the moment. I do think as a football club, listen, I'm not sure Isak's coming to Chelsea, but I'd love to see us in the mix with those types of signings if we want to be back to our very, very best at the top, winning Premier Leagues year after year. And I think that's the only thing we're probably missing at the moment is those marquee signings.
John, finally, you are raising money for Oasis UK. That charity holds a very special place in your heart, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does, and it's very for families that are very underprivileged and don't get the opportunity to do a lot of things that other kids and families get to do. Now, whether that's school holidays or just during normal terms at school as well, whether it's a picnic in the park or whether it's a day out at Chessington or whatever that may be, things that a lot of us maybe take for granted growing up. So I'm very privileged to be involved in such an amazing charity where we can come to days like this and raise some great money that goes to a fantastic cause for these kids.
On an aside, are you going to go and watch Jody Morris get bashed up by David Bentley?
Listen, that's Chelsea Spurs. That only ends one way. Let's not forget that. Second of all, Simon, whilst I've got you, when are we playing paddle?
Anytime you want, mate. You've ducked it for the last 12 months. You had a good win and you've run away and hidden.
That's not true.
John,
that's not true. John, I tell you what, we should take Gabby and Bentley on.
No. Gabby's crap. We should get Jimmy Floyd Hasselbank in. I saw him the other day. He's not bad.
John, thank you very much. While you were fundraising there this morning, mate, Lord Jordan's swanning off to his mansion in Spain later on today. I mean, honestly, it's all right for a son, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Enjoy, mate. You deserve it.
Indeed, I do.
John Terry, thank you very much indeed for joining us. That's a good way to kick off the show, isn't it? John Terry live on talkSPORT. Thanks to John Terry for joining us so early on in the show this morning, and a few good lines coming out of that. I like John.
I like John.
I think he speaks so well.
I've always liked John. I've liked him going back to stay when he was a player.
Yeah.
You know, he lived around the corner from where I used to live in Cobham. You know, he used to eat go to the hotel next door to the restaurant I used to own and see him quite regularly. I've always liked him. I thought he was a fabulous leader. I mean, and, you know, in times that he did up front with us last year, and he was very forthright, very articulate, and you can hear him. He's got, you know, people will have their opinion on John Terry. I think you should formulate your opinions on what you know rather than what you think.
Big name in the game. Here's another, Kylian Mbappe. Simon, I want to bounce this off you before we go any further. Then at 10:30, we'll be speaking to the man at the centre of this Olympics Enhanced Games controversy, Ben Proud.
Gold medalist as well, isn't he?
Yeah, well, he's a silver medalist in the Olympics, but what does that mean to him now that he's going to compete in the Enhanced Games? We'll get to that. Kylian Mbappe has been speaking to L'Équipe about the football industry. The hugely wealthy, very successful Kylian Mbappe, these days of Real Madrid. Mm-hmm. He says, I'm a fatalist about the world of football, but it's not about life. Life is wonderful. Football is what it is. I like to say that people who go to the stadium are lucky to only come and see a show and not to know what's actually going on behind the scenes. I will never advise a child of mine to step into the football world. The more money you have, the more problems you have. Now, Mbappe talks down the football world in a very unexpectedly strong way.
Do we have any more qualification as to what particular parts of the football world he's talking about? Because money changes everything in everybody's lives. It's not just football.
Yeah.
It's people that are successful, that have money, become treated differently. I saw it in my own life by those that they grew up with, those that they knew, those that they deal with now, because all of a sudden money gives you a new form of status. And most of the time people are either wanting something from you or getting something from you. And so it's not just unique to football. So I'd be more interested in understanding what he means and what specific parts of it. I mean, I sat in the car, as did you, when we were driving between games and listening to Kylian Mbappe's agent telling us where, you know, the quantums of money that this kid was on. Money doesn't bring you happiness. It brings you an opportunity to have choice, and choice brings you happiness to some extent. But it also brings its own challenges. People automatically assume, like they do if you have, say, you know, there's a much overused expression, which I find we use too much often in society, which is mental well-being. But people assume that if you've got lots of money, then you should not be having any challenges with your mental well-being. That's a load of old crap, because people are people and they can be challenged. What they can do is maybe have a bit more money around them to fix their problems. It doesn't mean they still don't have the problems in the first place.
You were in it. You owned Palace for a decade.
Yeah.
And Simon, you made a lot of money. And in that time, when you look back in it, and it didn't end the way you planned, obviously.
No.
But by God,
that's life, isn't it?
You gave it a serious tilt.
That's life, yeah.
In any way, can you identify with what he's saying here? Because he earns a reported £12.8 million a season. You would think, well, nothing bothers Kylian Mbappe, but it does. I would have thought nothing bothers Simon Jordan, but no doubt in that period of time, it did.
He earns more than that. He earns, I mean, I think it was £2 million a week, wasn't it? The fact of the matter is that that's a part of it. And the industry in and of itself, you know, there are aspects of it that I really didn't like. It's full of disingenuity and dishonesty. You know, there's so many people in there that are trying to profit and prosper and create outcomes for themselves. Yeah. There's so many people that are living vicariously through the real talent in the room, which is the players and the managers and sometimes the owners.
Phonies and fakes.
Yeah, but that's the nature of money and industries like that. They're like bees around a honeypot. They're moths to the lights. And that's for people to work out what's good and what's bad. I think football, from a point of view of spectators and the involvement and the value that it brings father to son, is still a wonderful sport. I think the opportunity that it provides for young men to be successful and to have massive influence in the society now, because football now, bigger than it's ever been. It's the biggest industry sport in the world now. It connects geopolitically. It moves tectonic plates, literally. It's got such an investment and involvement. It's got nation states buying football clubs. All of these create such wonderful opportunities. And I'm dreadfully sorry that Kylian Mbappe, who's one of the beneficiaries of these wonderful opportunities, thinks that it's such a dreadful industry. I'm watching my son. I'm not running for him to be a footballer or a sportsman. I want him to participate in sport, because I think being competitive in life and being participants in sport are good things for your life in whichever direction you choose.
I mean, Mbappe says he wouldn't want any kid of his to be in the football industry.
But I don't know why he's saying this.
Would you want your little lad to be in?
Well, I hear these stories of, you know...
Knowing what you know.
Well, I know that there's lots of good and lots of bads in every walk of life. There's lots of opportunity. People talk about the academy set up in football and say that it's a sausage factory. It's nonsense. Very few industries are you allowed to get that close to the opportunity. It's a very small percentage of people that can be professional footballers. That's accepted. And I don't believe that football clubs just churn kids out and don't look after them, because I know what we did in our academy. I know what the opportunities are.
Yeah.
Now, if he's projecting the experiences that he has, which is the vilification sometimes that he'll get, the media misrepresentation, the categorisation of his attitude and outlook, and the commodification of his talents. Well, he is a commodity. He's a bought and sold footballer that's making huge amounts of money out of them. So he's commodifying the football clubs to get his own returns from it. So I think he's being a bit pious. But I do understand, there are lots of people that you put yourself in the way of it. Footballers are now envied. Originally, they were ridiculed. They would, when David Beckham came along, all they did was take the mickey out of his squeaky voice, and he couldn't string a sentence together, right? Yeah. And of course, all that comes with the rewards of it, and it's a pressured industry. But the opportunities to do something that you enjoy and a sport that's revered. Yeah. I don't know what he's particularly pointing at.
Sometime soon, we will speak to Monsieur Mbappe, I would hope, and we'll get more on that. When we come back, the other side of the bulletin, Olympic silver medal winner Ben Proud, the swimmer, is going to join us live.
And Postecoglou understands the responsibility of taking charge at Nottingham Forest. He's spoken to the club's media channel.
I'm honoured, I'm humbled, but more importantly, really determined to make sure that this football club takes its rightful place.
Forest go to Arsenal next. That's live on talkSPORT this Saturday lunchtime. Next, Thomas Tuchel's more than ready to leave out England's big names, saying the competition is on ahead of next summer's World Cup. While talkSPORT's Dean Ashton's worried about the lack of decent opposition in England's 34 games since losing to France in Qatar.
We've played 8 against the top 20 nations in the current rankings. 8. And those, obviously, some of those are in tournaments that the FA don't arrange.
Yeah.
We've won 3. Two of them were against Italy.
Meanwhile, FIFA's accused of living in a parallel universe over its dynamic pricing policy for World Cup tickets, meaning some fans could pay more for the same seats. Football supporters Europe say FIFA doesn't really care about the fans. Well, FIFA say their model reflects what's already happening in North America, and profits are used to grow the game. And after leaving Man United, free agent Christian Eriksen's joined Wolfsburg on a 2-year deal. And there's more on this at talkSPORT.com.
Good morning, everybody. It is Thursday, September the 11th. It's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan. We are both live on talkSPORT. And as always now, we are everywhere. You can watch the show wherever you look. We are live on your TV, Samsung, LG, Fire, Apple, Chromecast, Android, Google, Prime Video, wherever you want to watch it. And it's your choice. We are there for you on a daily basis, 10 to 1, weekdays on talkSPORT. News came through yesterday. The Olympic silver medal winning swimmer Ben Proud has become the first British athlete to sign up for the Enhanced Games. The Enhanced Games were launched 2 years ago, and the inaugural event is set to take place next May. So what is it? What is the Enhanced Games? Well, it's a format where all the athletes in it are permitted to take performance-enhancing drugs. As I mentioned, Ben Proud won silver at the Paris Olympics last year. But now, in view of what he's doing in taking part in the Enhanced Games, he's now barred from international competition going forward. And Ben, I'm delighted to say, joins us live in the show this morning. Ben, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Thanks for having me.
Ben, thanks for joining us. I know the world and his wife is trying to speak to you, and we're extremely pleased you've chosen to join us live on this show. So let's get to it. Ben, the Enhanced Games, why?
Well, it comes at a time at, the end of a very long career for me. I've been doing this sport for the best part of 15 years and committing to myself, the best that I can. And, there's many reasons for this, but essentially I have a great opportunity to capitalize on a skill that I've developed and really try and secure financial security for myself, for my mum, for my family, and, pursue something very, very new that's different from the traditional format.
But in so doing, do you accept, Ben, that your credibility is now ruined?
Yeah, I accept that public opinion is going to be very polarized, and I'm happy with that. For me, a justification was the 15, 20 people who I deem closest to me, the ones that I love. So long as they can understand me, know what I've been through, and know what I'm doing, I can retire a happy man.
How much are you going to make out of it?
I mean, the figures of the competition is out there, but to put it simply, it would take me 13 years of winning a world championship title just to get what I'd get from one competition here. And that's almost minimum. So it would take me many, many years and many, many careers to earn what I can do here.
I mean, I saw that James Magnussen, the Australian, did something similar. He came out of retirement and got paid $1.5 million to do this. So the economics of it are that the real reason, I mean, obviously I'm assuming you've been very proud of your career, and I'm not judging you for making any decisions in the slightest. You're perfectly entitled to do as you want, Ben. I mean, the main reason you're detailing is that the economics of the sport. I mean, I noticed that you mentioned that when you came back from the Olympics, that the only thing that you were told that you were going to get any financial support on is that you might continue to get funded for the ensuing year. that's the challenge of the sport. That's the metrics of the sport that you chose to be part of. If this was at the beginning of your career, Ben, I mean, I know there's an element of, well, you don't know what you don't know until you know it. But if this was at the beginning of your career, would you still take the same decision?
No, definitely not. I mean, this is coming from, 10 years of being on the international stage at the very top level. I understand myself. I've developed a lot, and I know the decision I'm getting myself in for. The thing is, I'm really content with my career. I think I've achieved everything I realistically could, and no stone was left unturned. So, if I did this at the start of my career, I would have never known or never learnt what I have done to get here. And I think that was the most important journey to go through. And right now, simply, I'm capitalizing on what I could do.
Commercial opportunity. When you look at the science behind the idea that enhanced games, I don't know how much of a free-for-all it is, Ben, in terms of people's perception about steroids and juicing in other sports, is that there is a consequence in contact sports. There's obviously an element of power increases which can cause mortal jeopardy, but the physical reaction to enhancement. Do you not feel in any shape or form that, given the position that you occupy, given the nature of being an elite swimmer, that sort of detailing what you do with yourself, but actually endorsing something that could be harmful to the next generation, because we don't know the longer effects of people taking enhancement? Do you not feel any degree of responsibility that, whilst I get monetization from this, I get the benefits of my own life, there are young kids that will have followed my pathway, know who I am, seen my Olympic achievements, my gold medals at the European Championships, and think that this is the way to go at the earlier stages in their career?
Yeah, I mean, this is many aspects to it. And what you touched on there with the younger generation, this is a really tough topic, because never would I endorse this sort of approach to the younger fans. I know what position I'm in. I know it's going to cause a lot of conflict and controversy. But then again, you have to realize that this is a selfish decision I'm making for myself. But to be clear, there is no obligation for me to take any of these performance enhancers. And so it's going to be very interesting to get into this and learn a lot about what's available. Because as you said, the stigma of steroids and juicing is a very dangerous world. But the thing is, here we're using things that are legal and publicly available through prescription to just better recovery. And these aren't dangerous things, and I'm not going to put anything dangerous into my body. I'm going to make the best informed decision using the best people out there.
Do you have a view? And I promise you, Ben, there's no judgment in this. I'm not being pious. Do you have a view about the landscape of enhancement? I mean, I look at genetics in society, and I look at the way AI is going to introduce the way gene sequencing produces kinds of people that people want to see, 6'2", blonde-haired guys that are going to be produced as a result of genetic engineering. Do you have a view about whether enhancements should be part of sport as long as it's transparent?
I think it's a tricky one, because I think clean sport needs to remain clean. I think this world that we understand, the Olympic pathway, is something that is very prestigious, and it needs to be protected. What I'm doing here is going down a very different entity, a very different pathway that has potential benefits for a much broader audience. We're talking about, the average gym goer or the average male in the society who might want to supplement with something that they don't know about, and it might bring a bit more scientific knowledge to these people. But yeah, I mean, this is a pathway that I'm yet to figure out fully, but I'm kind of excited to go down this route.
I mean, you sound more curious than anything else to me this morning, Ben. Was there a moment you actually thought the enhanced games, yeah, I'm going to do that?
Yeah, it was back when they announced it back in May, and they basically, the swimming world, someone broke the world record in the enhanced formats, and it diverged the whole world into two separate categories. And suddenly you're in this position where you want to be the fastest in the world, where you might have to go down the enhanced route. And so it took a lot of moral justifications, a lot of sleepless nights to kind of realize, what do I want to go down? And, ultimately realizing I was in a great position to pursue this, I thought it was an opportunity I couldn't miss out on.
To be an Olympian, you received lottery funding, partly funded by us, the taxpayer. You're going to give that back?
Yeah, I mean, I handed my resignation yesterday. I know there's been a lot of condemnation from UK sport and Aquatics GB. which I fully respect, because in no way do I feel in a position to claim anything from here on. You know, this is something that's happened quite recently. It's only yesterday I announced my retirement, and this is me very much stepping away from that pathway, and I'm not going to step back in.
I mean, a British Olympic teammate, Ben, he or she doesn't want to be named, said to the Times newspaper, well, how to ruin a legacy. I'm not sure I understand this. Why would he want to do that when he's proven himself in the only arena that counts in clean sport? I think it's tragic we may now never see Ben handing out medals at nationals, being introduced to the crowd as our greatest sprinter, speaking to kids at clubs and so on. I mean, in terms of what you're going to gain, you've a hell of a lot to lose here, Ben, right?
Well, I think she's even said it in that statement. You know, I have proven myself. I've proven myself, and I've held myself to the highest standard of sport to do what I've done in my career. And retirement's going to have to come at some point. And this is just me simply, as another adult, choosing my pathway that I want to go down. And, you know, who's to say that I did want to stay in the swimming community? Maybe I do want to venture out. And me as a person, I think that was always an option that I wanted to do. So I've got some great friends in swimming who are great role models to the younger generation. And I'm almost handing that over to them to ensure that there are good people around to be a good role model for them.
Do you think, I mean, given the fact, and you are perfectly entitled to commercialise yourself and monetise yourself in whichever way you want, and that seems to be the main driver here, as it was for James Magnussen, who did the same thing. Do you think that swimming and the construct of swimming has looked after you the way it could and should?
It's, you know, it's very outdated. I've been at the top of the game for the last 11, 12 years, and I've seen no change in financial rewards or payments towards us athletes. You know, I think we dedicate a huge amount of our lives to perform in the Olympics, which is once every 4 years. And once you get there and you medal, there is no financial incentive. And I didn't realize that until, you know, last summer in Paris, but it's pretty heartbreaking to commit your life to this and to not be rewarded in a way that seems fair. You know, I'm not a victim of lack of funding or lack of support, but in terms of securing my future, this is definitely a new avenue. So I think hopefully having a new competition around will cast reflection on the current situation, not just swimming, but for all Olympic sports, and hopefully add some change, you know, some benefits to the ones who are coming through. And, you know, I'd like to see a positive change in swimming.
Am I right, Ben? You're 30 at this moment.
I'm 31 next week.
All right. Okay. I wonder if you look back, say when you're 40 or 45, and you'll think, I wish I'd never done that.
I mean, very possibly. You know, no one knows what the future holds, but all I know right now is I'm hugely content and satisfied with my career. I know what I've done to get myself through this. I know the standards I've held myself to, and my family know that too. You know, the 15, 20 people closest to me in my life, they understand what I've gone through and they can support this decision. And I think, to be honest, in that time frame, that's all that will matter, is those ones who I really deem as, you know, important, the ones I love. If they can back me and I'm in a comfortable position, then I'm a happy man.
Do you expect to be able to delineate between the two Ben Prouds, the one that competed when he was clean and the one, because obviously the big delineation in your mind is, I'm now retired, I've put that career behind me, I'm doing this for the financial future and opportunities that go forward. Do you want to be able to make sure, because I think that's the way you delineate, isn't it? By simply saying, the reasons why I'm doing this is not because I'm potentially motivated to take enhancements, it's because the financial incentives are such that I'm prepared to take this opportunity, embrace it for the commercial opportunity that it is. That's the way you'll be able to compartmentalise it, won't it?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's no different to someone retiring and taking a corporate job and earning good money in London. It's, you know, to me, this is very much parking one part of my life, putting it in the past and getting on and doing something else. I feel very comfortable with that sort of situation, that I can manage myself in the future and look back at my career and protect it for what it was.
Ben, I want to thank you very much indeed for being so open and so candid with us and joining us live in the show. Thanks, Ben.
Thank you very much, guys.
So Ben Proud, we will pour over that the other side of this upcoming break. We're live in talkSPORT with Selco, where the trade goes. Well, now, so many of you want your say on the chat we've just had with Ben Proud. Who is he? Olympic silver medal winning swimmer Ben Proud has just become the first British athlete to sign up for the Enhanced Games, and these games launched 2 years ago. The inaugural event takes place next May. It's a format where athletes are permitted to take performance-enhancing drugs. So while Ben Proud, who's a proud Olympian, has said yes to this, he's quite openly discarding his past, or is he? Because it's a total change of approach and attitude, no doubt, for this one-time Olympian. And Ben spoke to us live. Simon, I'll get your take on it in a moment. Many people want to say, Audley has been listening very closely to it and is very keen to join us. Audley, good morning. What did you make of the chat?
Absolute crap. I don't know. You're supposed to be a role model to your children. You've got to be a role model to young people. You guys got people taking drugs and coming on your station, right? Spencer Oliver, your colleague, he could have died. And you lot
comparing. I understand what you're saying with Spencer because it's a combat sport and we're very strong on that.
I don't care. Drugs is serious.
But yeah,
drugs,
of course
alcohol,
they are.
it's all crap.
Okay, calm down a second, Audley, and we'll come to you.
But also,
Hang
by
on.
the same token, I'd like to think that role models are parents, and parents to guide their children the way they want to go. And if we need role models to make our children achieve things, then we have to look at our own parenting. This lad is entitled to make his own choices. He's entitled to compartmentalise it and say, I was a young man and I produced the excellence in my sport, and now, for different reasons, I'm now retired. I'm no longer a swimmer that competes in the Olympics. I'm something different, and I'm going to go into this space, and I want to do it for money. Now, I understand your irritation and frustration and feeling that there needs to be this idea that a role model has greater responsibilities, but these boys don't ask to be role models. It's not part of their obligations, and the biggest role models should be the ones that the parents define, which is their disciplines over their own children.
Listen, you're talking crap. You're supposed to be a role model for your children. Drugs, alcohol destroys lives.
Yeah, okay.
What is wrong with you people?
Yeah, okay.
It destroys lives. I'm 6 times British champion, 6 times European champion, 6 times world champion, world record holder, drug-free. I brought my son up the same way. I'm sick and tired of people that are trying to justify taking drugs. People die. I've told my friends, don't be taking steroids. 5 of them, they're dead because they don't listen.
Audley, one thing I would say to you, if you calm down, I'll just put this to you. It's his choice, isn't it?
Yeah, but you come on his show. You're supposed what kids.
Well, of course we have. Of course we have.
Why would we not? Why would we not have him on the show?
Listen to me. Lots of young men are taking steroids. They're dying. They're killing them.
Yeah, understood that.
Why can't you not understand that?
Yeah, but there's no
that?
point bellowing at me. You know, if you want to make a point, you can make it with some coherence without bellowing. No one was validating it. No one was justifying it. Is your version of events to drive it underground so no one's... It happens. The visibility of it, the transparency of it, sunlight's the best disinfectant. By bringing it into the public domain, people can formulate very strong opinions. You bellowing and screaming, getting all emotional about it doesn't make a coherent argument.
People die.
We understand that.
Understand that?
We understand that. What was your sport?
You're supposed to be a role model to your children.
Yeah, I heard that first time, man. I got that on the first bounce.
People die.
Audley, let me just jump in here. Audley. Just calm down for a second. Am I right? Do you have a background in sport?
Yeah, I've just told you. And I've never taken drugs. I've been drug tested so many times.
What sport? What sport and what was the background?
Powerlifting. Powerlifting world champion.
Powerlifting.
Yeah. And I've taken on people that have taken drugs. Guys from America that have taken drugs. And I've beat them. Yeah? There's nothing wrong with hard work. And you've got people taking drugs. People die, man.
Yeah. Have you heard the discussions? You've heard the discussions that we had and the condemnation that I had around the situation for Conor Benn. If you've listened to this show previously, and you'll know that there's a very serious attitude taken towards it. But you can't just not have a conversation about a subject matter that's in the public domain that's going on. You can't just not have a conversation about it because you don't agree with the principles of it. The conversation was had. No one sat on this platform and said, well done you, Ben.
You're damn right I don't agree. 5 of my friends have died from taking drugs. I said to him, listen, just work hard, man. You'll be fine.
Audley, clearly you have a very strong view in it, and thanks for joining us. Before we get to 11 o'clock, here's Brian, who's a big Celtic fan, I think, but who wants to speak on this. Brian, good morning.
Hi Jim, how you doing? Normally I'd phone you and complain about your talk about my football team. What I'm phoning for is my son's a swimmer. He swims in the Scotland junior team. Got to British this year. Great wee swimmer. He heard this news last night. He's always really liked watching Ben Proud. Kind of looked up to him. Guys like him and Duncan Scott. But last night when he heard that, he was very disappointed. He couldn't believe that such a talented athlete had resorted to going down this route. When you're up at 4:30 every morning, like I was going to Glasgow Swim Club, it's quite hard to justify to a young man that's what somebody like him, one of his idols, would do.
I see, and your son has changed his view on Ben now as a result of what Ben has decided to do then, Brian.
Yeah, totally, because, I mean, Jim, being a swim parent and being a swimmer is extremely hard work. I mean, he trains every morning and every night in between school, and all the hard work and effort, and then to see somebody who could potentially swim faster than they probably could be clean, it kind of takes off what they're actually doing, what my son's trying to achieve, most young swimmers are trying to achieve.
Well, the tragedy of this part, because there is a clear delineation. This Ben Proud has retired as a competing athlete.
Yeah.
He's coming back in a different guise in the same way that James Magnuson came back to get paid. So there is a delineation between a clean athlete and the validation and all the kudos and cachet that goes with that. Sebastian Coe talks about it in great detail about the nature of how commercial people will want to be assigned, aligned to certain kinds of athletes going forward rather than these sort of athletes. So you are able to say and compartmentalise and go, well, the Ben Proud that my son admired was a competing athlete that's now decided that he's prepared, for want of a better expression, to prostitute his principles to go and get paid.
Yeah, I agree with that, Simon. I totally agree with that. I mean, I think the biggest problem here is, I mean, if you look at Duncan Scott, for example, I think he's getting the most medals of any swimmer in the UK ever. He doesn't get paid a lot of money. My son's this Leicester swim club. He's seen Duncan every day swimming. They don't get paid a lot of money for what they're doing, you know, and the majority is sort of sponsorship. So they dedicate, I can't think of a harder sport than swimming in terms of time.
Sure.
That you have to commit 4 hours
Yeah.
a day, 5 hours a day, my son does. They don't get paid for that, really.
But the challenge of that, and I don't mean to be mean-spirited, is if you know that going in, it's like saying that I wanted to be a nurse, training to be a nurse, my vocation, all of a sudden I'm not getting paid as much money as I thought I was going to do.
Yeah.
Well, you go into something knowing what it is,
Yeah.
you make your choices.
Brian, listen, thank you very much indeed. Obviously, it's a topic that brings about some very strong feelings and certainly oddly falls into that category. Nonetheless, Ben Proud has decided it's the enhanced games for him. We'll watch for it. It's 11 o'clock.
Your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 3 minutes past 11, I'm Nick Ellaby. Good morning. Ange Postecoglou wants to return Nottingham Forest back to its rightful place in English football. He's told the club's media channel why he's been pigeonholed as only playing a certain way.
I love winning. I love winning things. That's what I've done. I want the fans to be excited about watching the team play. I think there's already an existing sort of mentality within the group of working hard for one another, and I want to tap into that.
We'll bring you Ange's first press conference this afternoon at Forest, and his first game in charge of Nottingham Forest at Arsenal is live on talkSPORT this Saturday lunchtime. Now, following Thomas Tuchel's apology for referring to some of Jude Bellingham's behaviour as repulsive, Jermaine Defoe compares the way Bellingham plays to all-time greats Thierry Henry and Wayne Rooney.
I remember when Wazza was young, and he sort of like played with that fire. But I think if you take that away from him, if you took that away from him, you're a completely different player. Thierry Henry had to play angry. You listen to Thierry speak, and he said, I had to play like angry to get the best out of myself.
Now, former Premier League referee David Coote has pleaded not guilty over charges of making an indecent video of a child. He's appeared at Nottingham Magistrates Court this morning and will be back in at a Crown Court at a later date. And Hampshire have signed India all-rounder Washington Sundar for their final two Canteen Championship matches of the season. Sundar will be available for Hampshire's games against Somerset and reigning champions Surrey. Meanwhile, Nottinghamshire are closing in on a win over Worcestershire as they try and push Surrey for this year's title. There's loads more content on talkSPORT's Cricket YouTube channel.
talkSPORT News.
We're just hearing Lord Mandelson has been sacked as UK ambassador to the US after those leaked emails to paedophile Jeffrey Epstein, and a shooter is still at large in the US after Donald Trump ally Charlie Kirk was killed at a university event. More with Emma at 5:30.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit, proudly supporting air ambulance charities this Air Ambulance Week. Every mission starts with you. Visit Air Ambulances UK to learn more.
Windy, especially in the northwest today. Longer spells of rain across Scotland. Temperatures near normal but feeling cool.
Good morning, everybody. It's Jim White and it's Simon Jordan, and we are live on talkSPORT. As always with this show, you can get involved, and you do get involved. Of course, 81089 for messages, and you can call us with your opinions. Many of you still giving your thoughts on the chat we had there with Ben Proud, who has become the first British athlete to sign up for the Enhanced Games, where competitors in the Enhanced Games, which will take place next May, are permitted to take performance-enhancing drugs. And Ben Proud, a one-time silver medal-winning swimmer in the Olympics, a complete change of direction for him. And seemingly it's all about Ben making himself and some of his family members financially secure. Many of you having your say on that, and thank you so much for coming in with your opinions, some of them very strong indeed. And certainly Ben Proud, Simon, the way he spoke, Proud is right. He's proud of what he's done, and he's more than happy with the way that he's going forward.
Well, I think he is unapologetic, because that's the best way to be if you've made a decision that's relatively controversial.
Yeah.
He will know that all the accusations, despite that screaming fellow that came down the phone, his point was not lost, that people think that these guys are role models. It comes with responsibility.
Yeah.
So the best way, in the same way that the guy that came on about the enhanced games 2 years ago, was to be brazen about it and unapologetic.
Yeah. So obviously it's a debate which brings about some very strong feelings, and oddly it was one of many callers who felt exactly that way. Bit of breaking news this morning, this Thursday morning, and it involves Chelsea. We are hearing the FA has brought 74 charges against Chelsea over the Roman Abramovich ownership era, alleging rule breaches over agents' regulations and third-party investments in players. So 74 charges have been brought by the FA against Chelsea, and it dates back to the Abramovich ownership era. Simon, what's your take on that?
Well, it was coming, wasn't it?
These were around the illicit payment.
I mean, it was declared.
Alleged illicit payments.
They're not alleged. They declared them themselves. Todd Bowley volunteered that information, so they pretty much detailed it themselves, which they will have count in their favour in terms of the sentencing that they will get well, I mean, I'd say sentencing, the consequences that they'll get for those actions, because obviously you're visiting the son, the sins of the father and an unwilling son, because you've obviously got different ownership now, but the football club exists in perpetuity, so it will be consequenced as a result of those transgressions. But there will be mitigation because they're not defending it. They're the ones that brought it to their attention, and they're not pushing back against it. So what will the consequences be? I would assume financial. I would assume financial.
Yeah. And suggested points as well, though, Simon.
Well,
and is it right that the current ownership should be hit by what happened in the past?
Well, yeah, of course they should, because Chelsea's Chelsea. I mean, as you know, Chelsea is judged by the highest standards, and as John Terry turned around and said, Chelsea expect to be in the mix to win things because Chelsea's Chelsea. Well, Chelsea hasn't been folded down and turned into something else and come back in a completely different. It occupies the same space. It's the same football club. It just has a different owner. So everyone has to take the consequences of the actions of the previous regime. I mean, Bowley and his gang volunteered this information. They will have provided for it in their purchase price, so they'll hold back some money from the Abramovich situation, where that money is, no one knows, because it seems to be sat in the ether, doesn't it? Abramovich, that money hasn't been released.
No.
So there'll be some sort of contingency in there that's held back. And so if it's financial, it won't cost Bowley and his guys anything. It'll cost Roman Abramovich something, or where that money was due to go.
We're now in a strange situation, though, Simon, that we have two extremely high-profile English clubs, Manchester City and Chelsea.
Entirely different reasons.
For entirely different reasons, I grant you, but with multiple breaches alleged against them. 74 breaches. Chelsea charged with 74 breaches this morning, and Manchester City, of course, with 115.
With two sets of ownership that have broken the model of football to some extent because of their own particular aspirations. Roman Abramovich started the race to the bottom, or the gold rush, whichever way you want to look at it, with his purchase. I mean, Jack Walker could be the argument that started it, but Roman Abramovich was the first owner, a foreign owner of a Premier League football club, and he set the heather on fire by spending so much money. Sheikh Mansour comes in 2008, does the same thing. Yeah. They're being alleged to have committed fraud. And to some extent, what Abramovich's regime did was the same. They just happened to have had it disclosed by a new regime in terms of making illicit payments to whether it's players or agents. In some part, some of these accusations are, to some extent, there's been an argument about how Mancini was paid by Man City, wasn't there? The running of a duality of contracts between Man City's books and some other business that were paying Mancini for doing a service that wasn't anything other than being a football manager.
Yeah. So that's the news just into us at this stage. The FA has brought 74 charges against Chelsea regarding the Roman Abramovich ownership era, alleging rule breaches over agents' regulations and third-party investments in players. It could be a fine. It could end up in a points deduction. But anyway, we're watching it very, very closely. We'll take time out. When we come back, we'll get back round to the conversation that never really goes away, the regulator in football. Stay with us. Jim White, Simon Jordan, live on talkSPORT.
Business Briefing on talkSPORT with Tesco Mobile for Business. Got a side hustle baking bread? Improve your take-home dough with business phone bills for up to 40% less than the big three networks. For verification, see tescomobile.com/business.
Jim White and Simon Jordan live in talkSPORT. As you heard, it's time for us to round up one of football's top business stories with Tesco Mobile for Business. And really, the question that we're posing again this morning is how regulator ready is English football? We've heard of Fair Game. This is the watchdog that looks over the game, of course, in all aspects, particularly financial. They have compiled a report of their own, the Fair Game Index, which has come to a variety of conclusions and a variety of different revelations. More than half of the clubs, for example, in England's top four divisions are technically insolvent, they tell us, with only 1 in 5 breaking even and 1 in 11 having enough cash to cover 3 months' wages. Another fact that comes out of this is that only 4 full-time clubs, Brighton, Cambridge, Carlisle and Wimbledon, would currently satisfy the regulator's criteria for good practice. The report also claims that 43 clubs in the top 4 divisions have less than 1 month's cash in the bank. The chief exec of Fair Game is Niall Cooper, and Niall joins us live. Niall, this is somewhat alarming, isn't it? The revelations that have come out of this.
Yeah, I mean, it is. And I think we've been talking about the need for football to reform and football to change its ways for quite a long time. And obviously, this is probably where the idea of a regulator originally came from. What we wanted to do was see how deep the problem was. So we spent 4 months with 15 different researchers gathering 22,000 data points, all based on expert analysis on those various different areas, and conversations with the regulator about what they expect football to be looked at. And that's where we came to these conclusions. And so they're all based on publicly available data from Companies House, from clubs' accounts. So, they're all, unfortunately, verifiable. And so when you look at it and you have, I say, half the clubs with less than 1 month's reserves, and remember, I think UEFA's recommendation is 3 months or more. Certainly, that's what you'd expect from other organisations in other sectors. So it does paint quite a bleak picture of football, but it also says, right, football needs help.
I mean, we're asking the question. We're asking the question now: how regulator ready is football? What does regulator ready look like? What does it look like?
What we've got coming in with the regulator is 2 significant bits of work. One of which is the State of the Game report, which will analyse clubs across a whole range of criteria, for which we've looked at. There's also going to be a governance code about what football clubs should do. Now, most of that, particularly in the top 4 divisions, that data is available and it has used. And we've looked at that and said, right, well, that's, if you want to be regulator ready, then you need to be getting those scores and getting those kind of elements in order. And the reality with football at the moment is that most of our clubs do not have that in place, which is what we expected. But the depth of it shows a real problem that football needs to address. And I think we need to look at a model where we start incentivising good behaviour, where we start looking at getting financial flow to those clubs that do things the right way, because that's the only way we're going to look at how we change what is quite a bleak culture at the moment. And it's certainly not going to be up to the standards that we expect the regulator to put in place.
I mean, Simon, should Fair Game, Niall's organisation, should Niall and Fair Game be applauded for what they're uncovering here? More than half of the clubs in England's top 4 divisions are technically insolvent. Only 4 full-time clubs, Brighton, Cambridge, Carlisle and Wimbledon, would currently satisfy the regulator's criteria for good practice.
Well, it depends what the regulator's criteria for good practice is and whether you agree with it. And depends if this has been a moving feast and been something that's been in existence. We've done a snapshot of time. I would imagine if you ran this report any time over the last 30 years in football, it would say the same situation. How many football clubs have folded over the 150 years of existence? Not many. What is the regulator fixing? I would suggest that the idea of regulation came from some rather simple left-wing thinking, which was populist with politicians to be able to create a regulation outcome. No right-minded entrepreneur wants regulation or over-governance. If you want to regulate the EFL, fill your boots. I've got no issue with it. If you want to regulate the Premier League, an unprecedented success, and talk about the sustainability of football clubs and really analyse what sustainability is, because I would imagine that most of the Premier League football clubs with the ownership models they've got are pretty sustainable. I think you should fix what you need to fix and leave alone what you don't need to fix. And if you're going to deconstruct the Premier League to be able to fix the problems in the EFL, then be careful what you do, because the challenges that await the Premier League with the perhaps decisions of Comcast around broadcast deals, with the subscriber numbers and piracy that are ripping apart the potential of new broadcast deals, are going to have far-reaching challenges. So having spent a bit of time with the regulator and tried to change my mind based upon my conversations with him, I've come away even further in the line of that there is no place or necessity for a regulator, except in the areas that probably do need fixing, which is aspects of the EFL.
And you've met the regulator.
Mm-hmm.
Niall, have you met the regulator?
I haven't met David Cogan. I've met the rest of the team around David. So obviously he's not technically in place. So I've had lots of conversations with Martin Henderson, who's the COO of the regulator, and a lot of the regulator team. We've spoken to them at length. And as I say, lots of our data sets were based on those conversations. So they are trying to be there. Where I agree with Simon is that the problem, a lot of it exists going down the pyramid. So you've got a level within the EFL, which, because they're trying to compete with the beast that is the Premier League, that you're getting a whole range of overspending and a change of priorities, which means that they are scoring low compared to the Premier League. And certainly the gap between the Premier League and the Championship is well documented, but also there's a gap between the Championship and League One because there's tiering within the funding within the EFL. And those are causing the problems. So that's where you do see that gap. The biggest problem with the regulator is going to be actually the fifth division that it's supposed to be regulating, which is the National League. The National League has absolutely a completely different set of reporting requirements compared to the top four divisions. So that's where you're seeing the real big problem. So there is an element about how you need to do that and how you need to look at the rest of the pyramid. The technical solvency issue isn't as predominant in the Premier League, as Simon correctly points out, but it is a problem when you go further down the pyramid. And certainly when you look also, however, if you look at that bit about how much revenue you have in your bank to cover players' wages, I think it's only 5% of the Premier League has more than 3 months worth of reserves to cover that. But that's probably to do with the astronomical level of players' wages at that level. So there is elements that need to be addressed. There are problems that need to be resolved. And I think this report, and we're really proud of it at Fair Game, puts a real sharp focus on where the issues are and what does need to be fixed. And I think if, Simon and I, we can certainly have a chat, and I think you'll find that the issues that you talk about, Simon, that need to be fixed will be ones that you probably agree with. When you're talking about
insolvency, do you factor in the concept of holding companies?
Yeah, we do factor in a bit of that. So it's very difficult to get the difference because you have very different structures with how football operates. But the fact of the matter is the holding company, if it's within a holding company structure, to suggest that a component part of it is the only facet that needs to be considered is insane to suggest that they're insolvent on that basis. I think the big thing that we were looking at, though, was, and the big concern that we had, having spoken to loads of financial experts, and the insolvency one is a legacy one from where we've been before, is the cash reserves, Simon. So it's the amount of money that entity has to pay for the liabilities that are due. And that's where we see an issue within the Premier League. But going back to it, I mean, the biggest concern is lower down the pyramid when it comes to finances, because the amount of wealth that exists in the Premier League. So, if you want a healthy football pyramid, then the issue that the regulator really needs to address is how do you strengthen the lower end of the football pyramid, because it's the only place that you can do that is, my argument is always, I think you should always try and pull the bottom up, but you don't do it by pulling the top down. And if you pull the top down with all the challenges that might happen inside the Premier League, and one of them is clearly what's going to happen with Comcast and Sky and the next round of broadcast deals, you will not have what you have in English football at this moment in time, which is the elite league in domestic football. You'll have a selling league. You'll have a completely different ownership structure. You will suppress the investment models that have gone into football by deconstructing. And the only way, and I understand the argument for it, I understand why Rick Parry and those guys are light upon a regulator, which they don't really want, but they know that the main thrust of it is it's got one lever it might be able to pull, which is the financial redistribution.
And then the irony of that is that the financial redistribution currently exists that 80% of the money goes into the Championship and 12 goes into League One. So the very complaints that the EFL has, which is all the money's in the Premier League, is mirrored by what they do themselves. They might change it slightly and go 75, 15 and 10.
That is exactly the reason why you'd need to have an independent look at it, because...
But it's not independent.
There is the issue.
It's not independent. It's a political appointment with a parliamentary remit. So it's not independent for a start.
Well, still, I think we need to... fair game. We are looking at how you make
Have you looked at all the other governance models of regulators around the world, in Germany and in France, to see what they're doing? Because they're embedded in the culture of football. This isn't an arm's length statutory regulator. This has a whole raft of challenges.
Yes, the answer to that is yes, Simon. We have, and so where we've got to in England is that the football structure, because you've got a split between the National Football Association and the football leagues in this country, it means that you've had that kind of disconnect. Where you've got the opportunity in overseas countries is that there is a link.
It's established. It's established in the culture. They're embedded in the framework of football. And
exactly. And it's not in ours. So that's what we've had.
And it's also underfunded. It's also underfunded. If you think, with due respect to David Cogan and how impressive he may or may not be, if you think you've got a CEO running a regulator for $100,000 a year and he's going to be fit for purpose against some of the strongest, wealthiest people in the world that you're seeking to have a little pop at, you're away with yourself. And that means that the regulator's £10 million budget is going to be challenged and they're going to break the covenants of it to go and get more money. And watch the levies come on football and see what happens then.
Well, Niall, I'll jump in and maybe we can finish it on this, but certainly from what we gather, the regulator, once in and about the game, and he already is going to be robust to say the least. Are you worried about an overreach on his part?
Where I'm worried about it would be making sure that the burden that it has on clubs is not detrimental. And that is definitely the case lower down the pyramid. You don't want to have a situation where trying to adhere to new regulation actually puts football clubs at risk. So we've always said that you need to have that level of support for football clubs to, at the lower end, to be able to afford to do it. That's my concern about where we are with the regulator. Definitely from the Fair Game Index, it's clear that there is an issue that needs to be addressed. There are big problems that need to be sorted out. And there are good practice. There are good clubs that they're doing things the right way, that are regulator ready, but we need to look at how we make sure that we pull up and incentivise football to change.
You've got to pack it in with this argument about insolvency and not considering holding companies, because you could argue that Tottenham Hotspur, Joe Lewis's liquidity in ENIC has got nothing to do with the subsidiary of Tottenham Hotspur, or the fact that the sovereign wealth fund that owns Newcastle, there's no one more solvent than them, but technically you could look at them in a certain way and go, well, the Newcastle United Football Club has a slight issue with its financing, whereas its ownership model has no issue whatsoever, and Newcastle United is a subsidiary of a holding business, or any of these football clubs. So your argument about solvency needs to be analysed better than you've done.
Well, the game better be regulator ready, because the regulator is on the way. Niall Cooper, Chief Exec of Fair Game, thank you so much. That was us looking at one of the football's top business stories with Tesco Mobile for Business.
Business briefing on talkSPORT with Tesco Mobile for Business. Got a side hustle baking bread? Improve your take-home dough with business phone bills for up to 40% less than the big three networks. For verification, see tescomobile.com/business.
And Postecoglou understands the responsibility of taking charge at Nottingham Forest. He's spoken to the club's media channel.
I'm honoured, I'm humbled, but more importantly, really determined to make sure that this football club takes its rightful place.
Forest go to Arsenal next. That's live on talkSPORT this Saturday lunchtime. Next, Thomas Tuchel's more than ready to leave out England's big names, saying the competition is on ahead of next summer's World Cup. While talkSPORT's Dean Ashton's worried about the lack of decent opposition in England's 34 games since losing to France in Qatar.
We've played 8 against the top 20 nations in the current rankings. 8. And those, obviously, some of those are in tournaments that the FA don't arrange.
Yeah.
We've won 3. Yeah. 2 of them were against Italy.
Meanwhile, FIFA's accused of living in a parallel universe over its dynamic pricing policy for World Cup tickets, meaning some fans could pay more for the same seats. Football Supporters Europe say FIFA doesn't really care about the fans. Well, FIFA say their model reflects what's already happening in North America, and profits are used to grow the game. And after leaving Man United, free agent Christian Eriksen's joined Wolfsburg on a 2-year deal. And there's more on this at talksport.com.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Get ready for the golden era of sports betting. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18+gambleaware.org.
It's that time, and on this occasion we're joined by Sean Martin from BetMGM. We're going to look at some of the top sporting events and the odds round and about them. Sean, good to speak to you, my friend. Premier League back this weekend. Ange back in the game, in charge of Forest at Arsenal. It's live in talkSPORT. What are you thinking? Good morning.
Morning, gents. Yeah, only one Premier League match has my attention now, and it's the very first one because Big Ange is back, 12:30 on Saturday. Listen to some of your callers this week, and it's maybe split opinion as to whether Forest and Ange are a good combination or not. I can actually see it both ways. Ange is ambitious, and Forest's owner is certainly that. Then again, you've got the slightly odd scenario of getting a job that wasn't vacated by someone who failed, but actually very much succeeded. Style of play as well, probably the most interesting part for me. How quickly will he mould them from a team that's used to kind of playing on the counter to one that presses high? I think some players, for what it's worth, will absolutely thrive with that. I'm thinking some of those attacking midfielders and wingers, since he does love a winger, Ange. Same as when he was up here at Celtic, though, and indeed at Spurs. A lot will come down to the centre-backs, maybe, Jim, in terms of are they fit for selection, first and foremost, but then also are they able and brave enough to want the ball much more often, because consistent centre-backs are key to what Ange tries to do. It was only really after we got a settled centre-back pairing that it properly clicked for Ange at Celtic. You'll probably remember, Jim, it took him a wee bit of time to mould things to his liking, albeit there was a couple of 6-0 drubbings in there as well early on that gave a glimpse of things to come. In any case, it's good to see him back, or at least I think it's good to see him back. It's a tall ask for a win in his first game. We've got Forest 15-2 outsiders to win at the Emirates, and if any Forest fans are thinking maybe Ange will go one better than at Spurs and not wait till season 2 for that trophy, they're 11-1 to win the Europa League, 25s for the FA Cup and 16s for the EFL Cup as well, guys.
Sean, I've got to say, be worried, be very worried, because Mr. Jordan's just coming out of the long grass.
I was just thinking, what that old hoo-ha. You have no opposition in the Scottish League, so comparing what he had to do in Scotland against what he has to do in the Premier League is completely different. And what we know he does with his centre-backs is he sends them to the medical room.
Well, when he had them at Spurs, he was good. The stats bear that
True.
out.
Yeah, well, he's been coming away with some interesting things, Ange, and no doubt we'll get to that in the fullness of time before we certainly go today. It's been dubbed in some quarters potentially the fight of the century. Canelo Crawford, my God, if it lives up to that billing, then it'll do well. But what are you thinking, Sean?
Yeah, what a fight. I've been looking forward to this one for a while. I've mentioned to you lads before, but I saw Crawford win his first world title 11 and a half years ago when he beat Ricky Burns in Glasgow. Yeah, Ricky Burns in Glasgow for the lightweight belt. He's now way up at super middleweight fighting for all the marbles. I will make every effort to watch it live at 4 a.m. or so, much to the collective annoyance of my wife, my 3-year-old daughter and my 9-year-old dog, no doubt. But the early prices that I quoted to you guys on here when this fight was first mooted, we had both fighters odds on. Canelo is still odds on, but Crawford is now over even money and the draw 16-1. Both fighters never officially been dropped, and it's also curiously over even money at 6-5 for either to be knocked down in the fight. I'm looking forward to noon onwards with all the boxing chat that's coming. But I was also listening to Talk Boxing this week, Simon.
Yeah.
So I think I might know where you're going to go with this one. I'll give folk the odds for the various outcomes in a second if you don't mind, but I'm edging towards Crawford by decision. Is that your thinking as well?
Yeah, well, that's the sort of consensus that myself and Spencer and Duke McKenzie came to the other day. Other people that have been on the show, like Adam Booth, don't see it that way. Who's obviously a first class trainer. I just think that Saul Alvarez is at the end of his best version of himself. I think that Crawford is still an elite fighter, albeit I'm not suggesting that Canelo Alvarez isn't. I just got a feeling for Crawford. I think he's in a position to make history, and going up from 147 up to 168 in short order is remarkable. But he doesn't look small. He doesn't look small against Alvarez, and so that's the big definer for me. But I just think, in terms of fighting prowess, I think Crawford's on a different level to Canelo Alvarez, and Canelo Alvarez is on a remarkable level in of itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we both agree he is genuinely fantastic. I mean, his switch hitting was ridiculous in 2014, never mind now. Crawford to win by decision, last I checked, was just under 2-1. Difficult to get a decision over Canelo, as Paulie Malignaggi mentioned. Crawford did beat Madrimov on points last fight, but you've got to go back to, I think, 2016 for the last time he went the distance before that against Victor Postol, another who folk will remember in Scotland from fighting Josh Taylor at the Hydro. It's sevens for a Crawford stoppage, and he is capable of sparking anyone from lightweight to welterweight, Simon. I'm just unsure about maybe super middle against someone who's never been put down. But finally, on the subject of Canelo, obviously a great at the sport, not stopped anyone in 4 years, which is probably why it's over 3.5-1 for him to win by stoppage. He has won his last 6 on the trot by decision, and that's what the odds suggest is the most likely outcome this weekend, because that's just a smidge over even money, lads. And yeah, as well as the belts, it's a pound for pound legacy fight, really worth staying up for in my mind anyway.
Staying up for 4 a.m, Sean. That's when you're going to be watching it in your household, although I am hearing that your dog plans to hide the TV control. The World Series of Darts finals takes place this weekend. What do you think, Sean?
Yep, kickstarts a run of 5 PDC majors over the next 3 months. And on that note, actually, the dates and venues for next year's BetMGM Premier League are out today, which people can find on our socials if they want a wee look. But yeah, this week's event is the culmination of the 7 World Series events from this year. Luke Littler is the defending champ, and I suppose the question really is, can anyone interrupt him and Luke Humphries, because they've claimed all 5 singles majors between them so far this year. They're the top 2 in the betting, of course. Littler 11-8 favourite. Humphries is 5-1, probably because he's got James Wade in the first round. Outside of those guys, Gerwin Price has been in great form on the floor this week. He's 7-1, and Josh Rock has just been brilliant in the last 3 or 4 months, really. He's got a tough path to the final, but the way he's playing, he can beat anyone. He's also 7-1. Further back, you've got the likes of Stephen Bunting at 11s, Simon's favourite Michael van Gerwen's at 16s, and then just of the first round ties, one for me and you to watch out for in particular, Jim, is a battle of the Scots. Cam Menzies against Peter Wright on Saturday afternoon. Wright, a decent priced underdog there at 29-20, I reckon, guys.
Wow. Menzies against Wright. What do you think, Simon?
No clue.
No clue came the reply. Sean, thank you very much indeed. Visit betmgm.co.uk or download the app. 18 plus, begambleaware.org.
It's showtime on talkSPORT with BetMGM. Keep things golden with responsible play at betmgm.co.uk. 18 plus gambleaware.org.
Simon, we brought the news a short time ago that the FA has brought 74 charges against Chelsea for alleged rule breaches over agent regulations, payments and third-party investments in players during the Roman Abramovich era. It'd be interesting to get Chelsea's reaction to just have it. To a certain degree, what comes over to me is that they might be prepared to take their medicine, whatever that is. Chelsea say they're pleased to confirm that its engagement with the FA concerning matters that were self-reported by the club is now reaching a conclusion. The club has demonstrated unprecedented transparency during this process, including giving comprehensive access to the club's files and historical data. We will continue working collaboratively with the FA to conclude this matter as swiftly as possible. We wish to place on record our gratitude to the FA for their engagement with the club on this complex case, the focus of which has been on matters that took place over a decade ago. So it's precisely what you said a short time ago, that, they are continuing to go along with what's being asked of them. And now they're keen, it seems, as a club to bring it to some kind of meaningful conclusion.
Well, they're just playing nicely and making sure that everyone understands that they're cooperating in the very best way that you should cooperate with the governing bodies. And I suspect that they already know what they're going to get, which is a bit of financial fine, I suspect.
Yeah, and it should be stressed there's a separate Premier League investigation into the club in this same area. This is the FA investigation that we are talking about. But you would think
useless, so they can't find their backside of the funnel. That lot, they'll be fine. They probably wouldn't even bother telling the FA.
You would think that Bowley and Igbali, judging by that statement, very keen as regards the FA investigation to bring it to some kind of conclusion that suits everybody.
Well, yeah, because then it perhaps sets a precedent for how if the Premier League are going to take any action against them, what they do there. Yeah, I mean, they declared it themselves because if there's a financial penalty, there's no penalty because Chelsea have a contingency. They will have held this back. They will have known this in due diligence, and that's why they're quite happy to tell the FA, get in front of it and the Premier League and take whatever financial medicine they dish out because it's not actually going to cost the ownership of Chelsea any money, I suspect. They'll be taking it from the contingency fund that they probably held back on Roman Abramovich when they sold the club to him, who hasn't even been able to release the funds to the purpose that he had for it in the first place, which was the victims of the Russian-Ukraine war, wasn't it? And specifically on the Ukraine side.
Sure. At 12 o'clock, Spencer Oliver will join us. That is then This Is Now. And now we're coming up to 11:45. We're live in talkSPORT. We're Selco, where the trade goes. Time is ticking. Well, we know that. With under 2 weeks to go, you can enter now for your chance to win £25,000 in tickets to the Oasis final Wembley gig. It's our biggest competition yet. Don't look back in anger. I like it. Here's how you can enter.
18 plus, UK excluding Northern Ireland. For a chance to win, text the word Oasis to 83338 and you're in the draw. Text costs £2 plus one standard network rate message. You must have the bill payer's permission. Or you can enter for free by calling 0330 880 338. All entries must be received by the 19th of September at 9 a.m. This is a talkSPORT limited promotion run on talkSPORT, Talk and Virgin Radio UK stations. Full terms and conditions at talksport.com.
So, just want to bring this, excuse me, came out of that quicker than I thought. Just want to bring this to your attention, Simon. The EFL, news just in, considering a plan to add an eliminator round to the championship playoffs.
Are they?
Now, as you know, and I know because I do the playoffs with the EFL, and I enjoy doing it. The current format, we have third versus sixth over 2 legs and fourth versus fifth over 2 legs.
What's happening now then?
And the winners go into the playoff final. Let me tell you what is on the table as a proposal. 2 eliminators, 2 semi-finals and 1 final. Third and fourth would go straight to the semi-finals and over a 2-leg basis would work out who gets to the final. In the other semi-final, before we get to that stage, we'd have 5th versus 8th over 1 leg, and 6th versus 7th over 1 leg.
Where would the legs be held?
And the 2 winners would play in the other semi-final. In other words, the clubs that finished 7th and 8th now come into the picture.
Right.
Well, what I am looking for is some kind of a reaction from you to that.
Okay.
As it's only you and I in the studio.
The reaction to it is the playoff system currently broken? Do we not appreciate it? Why would it only be done in the Championship, not in other divisions?
Yeah.
I mean, what passes laughably as our production team tells me that Phil Alexander which I don't recall in the slightest. It's more money. It's more money. And one of the main reasons why I don't like it is because if you look at who's finished 8th over the last 2 or 3 seasons, it's Millwall. And we can't have those horrors with the opportunity of running around the Premier League, can we?
Well, whoever it is, should 8th be in with a shout of actually getting to the Premier League? Because they just might expanding under this.
What at its centre, in all seriousness, is expanding.
It's meant to be about sporting merit, isn't it?
Well, it is. When who defined it 6th? You know, you could have had just third and fourth, having 1 playoff game to get to the final, couldn't you?
Say 6th.
6th.
It's funny you said
6th.
Right.
So, okay, we've got a situation where this looks like it's about expanding the jeopardy of the league, so there's more meaningful games at the back end of the season. So if you look at the MLS, there's more teams that participate in the potential opportunity to get into the playoffs because there's more games that enable them to do that at the back end of the season. More teams are there. So if you've got more teams that can be potentially in some form of playoff up to 8th, you're going to have more games at the back end of the season that people are going to want to attend. So the attendances levels are going to go up. You've created another tier of playoff games, which means another set of revenues for the 2 clubs that finish in 7th and 8th and 5th and 6th. So it's a money play, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
It's all about trying
to got to that quicker, couldn't you?
Well, do you want me to pad this or not?
Is it a money play?
No, it's goodwill. They're doing it for nothing. They're going to make sure that all the games are attended for free.
Are you having this or you're not having it? That 7th or 8th in the Championship might end up in the Premier League?
No, well, listen, I mean, the difference between 5th and 6th and 7th and 8th sometimes is a point.
Yeah.
So it's not as if there's a much attainment value in it. What it is a financial opportunity to kick another game, and possibly when you've got to games 43, 44, 45 and 46 of the season, you might have X amount of teams that are still in that space that can get 8th. So you give them and the league an opportunity to have more longevity of jeopardy towards the meaningful outcome, which is promotion to the Premier League.
Thange very much for your
maybe it works.
reaction to to
Thank you. I like to help.
That was very much well worth waiting for. Ange Postecoglou has been speaking ahead of taking over, and his first game is fast approaching because Nottingham Forest are at Arsenal on Saturday. It's kick-off in the middle of the day. It's live in talkSPORT. And Ange has been talking before it. He'll give his first formal media news conference this afternoon. Spoke to the club channel. Trophies, again, the watchword.
I love winning. I love winning things. That's what I've done. I want the fans to be excited about watching the team play. I think there's already an existing sort of mentality within the group of working hard for one another, and I want to tap into that. And from my perspective, it's about now implementing my own ideas. It's no secret. I love my teams to attack. I love my teams to score goals. That's sometimes misconstrued as me just playing one way, but the reason I want my teams to play that way is because I love winning things, and that's what I want to do here. Like I said, when you just look at what Nottingham Forest have achieved in recent times, it's actually an outstanding feat to be where they are right now. Because when you look at recent times, clubs that have been promoted, it's been a real struggle just to stay in the league. But in a very short space of time, they're back in Europe, competing for honours, and that's a credit to everyone involved, all the players, the managers, the owner, the management of the club, and I get a sense that they want more. Certainly what I want, and I think it's an exciting time. I'm honoured, I'm humbled, but more importantly, really determined to make sure that this football club takes its rightful place.
Takes its rightful place. What is Nottingham Forest's rightful place?
It doesn't have a rightful place, does it? I mean, it was a parochial football club that was transported and transformed into a miraculous team by one man or two men, Peter Taylor and Brian Clough. Ange misunderstands people's observation on him. I like him. I think he's a great character in lots of ways. But people's observation are not based upon he plays one-dimensional. He's a tactical ineptness was what people began to criticise, not the fact he plays only one way, because we know he doesn't play one way, because we saw him play pragmatically when he tried to win the Europa League at the sacrifice of the Premier League, in terms of when he decided to bank up and make it more sensible against Eintracht Frankfurt, and the same against Manchester United. So the fact is, we know he can play more than one way. It's just that the in-game management, which is tactical nous, is the criticism that gets deployed against him. It'd be interesting. He's in a very fortunate position because Nottingham Forest isn't broken. Most managers come into a situation where they're broken. He's going to say these things because of the legacy of a period of time in Nottingham Forest history where they were the best club in Europe. They were a brilliant football team and one of the best football teams to ever adorn the top end of English football under that period. Certainly from 77 up to maybe 81, 82, 83. Brilliant side, fabulous side to watch. But they don't have a rightful place. They've been out of the Premier League for 23 years.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a generation. That's a quarter of a century best part of.
It'd be interesting if they win the Europa League, wouldn't it?
Well, this is it, isn't it? This is what we discussed yesterday. He and what's his face, Nuno Espirito Santo will share two indignations. They'll both be sacked by Daniel Levy, and they'll probably get sacked by Marinakis. But he may well also get back-to-back Europa Leagues, which is what I think Marinakis is eyeing here.
Interesting. Ange set to be in the away technical area, of course, at the Emirates Saturday lunchtime. It's Arsenal against Nottingham Forest, and it's live on talkSPORT. Good to have you back, Ange. We talk boxing with Spencer Oliver very shortly, and he certainly comes into that dimension very shortly. It's 12 noon.
talkSPORT Sports Update, powered by the Nissan Van range. Commercial vehicles built around your business. Search Nissan Vans or head to your local Nissan Van Centre.
With your headlines at 1 minute past 12, I'm Nick Allaby. Good afternoon. Chelsea have been charged with 74 FA rule breaches over payments made during the Roman Abramovich era. They relate to breaking rules around transfers over alleged payments to agents between 2009 and 2022. Here's Simon Jordan. I'm sorry about. We'll get that clip for you in the next bulletin. Chelsea have 8 days to respond to those charges. Simon expects a financial punishment, but a points deduction is not out of the question. Now, John Terry's told White and Jordan no one's safe from being dropped. Terry says also Tuchel is not afraid to make those difficult decisions to bring off Bellingham or Kane after 55 or 60 minutes if things are not going well. Tuchel's recently said the competition is on ahead of next summer's World Cup. Former Premier League referee David Coote has pleaded not guilty to making an indecent image of a child. The 43-year-old is due back in court next month. And ahead of his appearance in next year's enhanced games, where athletes will be free to dope without drugs tests, Olympic silver medal winning swimmer Ben Proud accepts public opinion over his involvement will be very polarised, but he's squared it with himself by saying if the 15 people closest to him are OK with it, he can retire a happy man. You can watch that whole interview back on the talkSPORT YouTube channel.
talkSPORT News.
Lord Mandelson's been sacked as the ambassador to the US over his relationship with paedophile Jeffrey Epstein. And in the US, the killer of conservative activist and influential Trump ally Charlie Kirk is still at large. There's more from the news team at past.
talkSPORT weather with QuickFit. Come rain or shine, we've got your car's inbuilt safety tech covered with expertly trained technicians across the country, so you can drive away happy every time.
In the northwest, it's wet and windy. Elsewhere, a mixture of sunshine and showers, some heavy with hail and thunder at times. Average temperatures today.
Engagement. Jim White and Simon Jordan on talkSPORT.
He's the current, undefeated, super bantamweight champion of the Europe, making his fourth defense. Would you please welcome from Barnet, where he is known as the Oman Spencer.
Good afternoon, everybody. 4 minutes past 12 noon. It's Jim White and Simon Jordan. We are live on talkSPORT. And so many of you getting in touch today saying that you listen to the show. Sure you do. But you also watch it now. And there are so many different ways to watch it, of course. And you are doing just that. However you find it, whether it's on Fire TV, Apple, Android, Chromecast, Samsung, Prime Video, you're watching it. And we are delighted about that. My God, you tell me out the streets, and that is a great thing too. I enjoy that, especially the group of people I met at Waterloo Station yesterday. You're on the move this lunchtime. Good afternoon to all of you. On the move this lunchtime too is one Spencer Oliver, who has moved into the studio on the 17th floor of the news building. Spencer, good afternoon.
Jim, Simon, how are you both doing?
Good, mate. A lot to get through while you are here with Simon and myself in London. We're going to head out right now to Dubai, and we're going to be joined by former two-time champion Amir Khan. Amir, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, guys. How are you?
We are great, thank you. We see you on our screens. You're looking fit and healthy, and I'm delighted about that, Amir. I haven't spoken to you in some time. Of course, you know why you're on, and we're on to talk about the big fight, which could be a once-in-a-lifetime fight. This is what we're being told, Amir. This fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez could be the one that beats them all. What do you anticipate?
Yeah, it's going to be a massive fight. Obviously, I fought both guys. Crawford has the skill, the movement, and looks amazing in his pictures. When you look at him in training camp, he looks all ripped and strong, and he's always been that heavier guy, that stronger guy, the guy that holds on the weight well. even though he's come from such a lighter weight, if you think about it, he's come up from, I think it's featherweight. In all his career, he started off at featherweight, and now you can see him as he's a beast at this weight, putting on that extra weight, muscle strength. I've seen him wrestling guys when I was in camp with him for my last fight in Omaha, Nebraska. He was wrestling these heavy guys, and he was taking them out. And he was taking, and they were like at least they were like heavyweights. So I know that he's got the strength to not be bullied or pushed around. I've been in the ring with him as well. Obviously, he beat me in 2019. But then also with Canelo. Canelo's another fighter who is a hard guy to beat as well. He's only got beat maybe once or twice. No, twice I think he's been beat, or maybe 3 times, against the likes of Mayweather, Triple G, and these are tough opponents. And when I fought him in 2016, the power he had, I mean, he's easier hit. You can hit him quite easily. You can catch him quite easily as well. But what happened was he has such a great hand-eye coordination. Like what he's sorry guys, I don't know what that noise is. But yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, one thing about Canelo is a beast as well, because when it comes down to power, hand-eye coordination, he sees shots well. He's very experienced. He's been in with the best, if you look at it from the Mayweather and all them other guys. So it will be a mega fight, and it's a hard fight to pick. I am leaning more towards Crawford in this fight, but like I said, that power Canelo has and that strength. I mean, does Canelo have the boxing skills? A lot of people are asking me that same question. Does he have the same boxing skills as
Well, that's a
Crawford?
good question,
No.
Amir. Let's bring Spencer in on that one.
Yeah, Amir, a lot has been made actually of this weight and Terence Crawford moving up to the middleweight division. He actually comes down from 185 pounds, so he's a big guy himself. And as we know with Canelo Alvarez, he's come up from the super welterweight division. Do you think adding that weight on for Terence Crawford will actually improve him, because he hasn't got to drop down to the weight? So it's actually closer than what people are talking about. That narrative about moving up the weight will be too much. I don't think I don't see that being a problem. And I think that if we take the weight out of it, Amir, would you have to say Terence Crawford is the better boxer?
100%. I mean, Terence Crawford is a better fighter. He's a better boxer. Yeah, you have to say he's got better footwork. He's an all-rounder, if you think about it. But then you have to understand Canelo is a lot stronger as well when it comes to punch power. And we've seen it. I mean, look, do you think Crawford would go in the ring and knock out Kovalev? I mean, Canelo went and did that. He went upper weight, and Kovalev at the time was he light heavyweight or something?
So I think my point, though, Amir, what I'm trying to say is that when you box Terence Crawford, you box him at 147 pounds. He's coming down from 185. So actually coming down to 168, which this fight is made at, he may come in actually stronger. And if he has that added strength and punch power, this could be actually a tough night for Canelo.
No. Yeah, definitely. It's 100% going to be a tough fight for Canelo, because obviously with the size and the boxing skills that Crawford has, Crawford makes you miss, hits you when he wants, and he frustrates a fighter. And when it comes down to power and size, I think he's got that as well, because like I said, I think he will be able to push around Canelo. See, Canelo, if you think about it, in his last couple of fights, he's been on his back foot. He boxes a little bit more. He runs around the ring a little bit more and, moves a lot. Well, maybe he doesn't want to take too much punishment anymore. If you look at the way he fights, especially the one in Saudi when we were together, we saw him fight against Skull. He was just boxing, hit, moving, and it didn't seem like the old Canelo that stands there and goes to war. So maybe he doesn't want to do that anymore. He just wants to be more smarter now. He wants to box a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, look.
Amir, here's actually in the past. Here's Simon for you.
I mean, you went in against both of them, obviously, and you got both of them caught up with you in the 6th round. When you went in against Canelo Alvarez, I thought you were on a great run of form. I thought your best performance of your career was against Devin Alexander. I thought you were world class in that fight. When you look at the two fights against Canelo Alvarez and against Terence Crawford, that you went into the Crawford fight after beating Le Greco and Samuel Vargas, not the kind of opposition that you'd gone into the Canelo Alvarez fight with, right?
Yeah.
When you look at these two fighters in isolation, who impressed you the most, given that they both dealt with you in the same similar fashion?
Yeah. So looking at that fight, looking at those two fights I had, 2016 I was at the peak of my career. After that great fight against that great win against Alexander, I went on to fight Canelo, went up a couple of weight categories, and you know, it was a hard fight to turn down with the amount of money that was put to the table on the table for me. So I took that fight, and I could see that Canelo was easier to hit. I can hit him, I can catch him. He had slow footwork. But one thing about Canelo, he had such awesome power. He had a lot of power.
Yeah.
Whereas when a couple of years after that, say another 3-4 years after that, I fought against Crawford, in my opinion, he was just making me miss. I think that's when I realized that I wasn't the same fighter as I was. I kind of lost it. The timing, the distance. The distance was one of the main reasons that I thought that Crawford got an easy win that night against me, because...
Amir, could that be, though, that it was because Crawford was that good, because he's great at controlling the space? And like you say, when you're, it's the small margins at that level that make a huge difference. And that could be the difference between Crawford and Canelo going into this one.
You're 100% right there. It's a small margin because it's about making someone miss. So when I was fighting Crawford, I'd miss by an inch or maybe two inches at least, and I'd be like, how is that not hitting him? And then my speed's not working against him because just by him making them little adjustments. Whereas with Canelo doesn't really have that. Canelo's more like a strong, typical Mexican, hands up high. He'd rather take the shots on the guard. On his gloves, and then come back with something. So Canelo's more of a guy that you hit me, I'm gonna hit you. Let's see who gets.
Actually, Amir, all these years on, mate, regards Crawford. In the opening round, you took an accidental shot to your groin in the 6th, and then I think the reports say that you were in too much pain to carry on. Crawford alleged at the time that you'd quit.
I don't think I would have ever quit a fight. I mean, I was very hurt by it, but to be honest with you, sometimes you look back at it and you think maybe it was a good thing as well. The way the fight was stopped, because end of the day you could see that he was just taking he was taking control of the fight, and the last thing you want in a fight is get hurt, and if you're already hurt a little bit and then the referee stops, so you think, call it a day then, So we are prize fighters, and I know that there was always another day. So obviously, I took that defeat that way.
I think you've got another boxing promotion coming up. Is it in Africa, Amir? What are you doing out there?
Yeah. So I'm doing a show in Nigeria this time. So I'm teaming up with Balmoral Group Promotions. That's going to be on the 1st of October in Lagos. So that's going to be the Independence Day. So they want to do a big, massive show on Independence Day. We've got Brandon Glanton. At first, Brandon Glanton was going to fight Rocky Fielding. He was going to come out of retirement, but then Rocky ends up pulling out the fight for some reason. And now we've got Marcus Brown, who's stepped in. Now, I think this is a mega fight.
Who fought Chris Smith, yeah?
That's the one, yeah. And I think this is a mega fight because both guys, Brandon Glanton was a sparring partner for Marcus when he was training for the Pascal fight, and they had a bit of a riff in the ring, and they never talked to each other after that. They were not friends, and they hated each other. So I think this is a good way now where they're not going to be, and whenever they see each other, there's always drama. So we thought it'd be a good fight to put on. So I think that'd be one. That's
excellent. Well done with that, Amir.
That is going to be a good fight, and also the winner gets the top 10 ranking as well, which helps as well. And then we've got Dan Aziz fighting Richard Comey as well. We've got fan favorite Elvis Ogora as well. So we've got a few good fights on the night.
Amir Khan, the promoter, very good. Listen, watch how you go over in Dubai this afternoon. You'll need some sunscreen on. 39 it is over there today. You must be
very hot.
Must be glad you're indoors. Amir, give me a name then. Is it Crawford or is it Canelo?
I'm leaning more towards Crawford. He's a friend as well, and I'm spending the last training camp with him in Omaha, Nebraska. The love he showed me and the way he come up in the mountains when he didn't need to. He wasn't even in training camp. He come and supported me, so I have to support him. But I like Canelo as well. Look, Canelo's a lovely man, even though we fought each other. And I remember in the last fight he had against Skull, he waved at me outside the boxing ring. So, it's just nice to be acknowledged by these great names. And these are two legends we're talking about. I give it 60-40 to Crawford, but like I said, anything can happen.
Amir Khan in Dubai, thanks so much for joining us. Stay with us. Much more coming your way. It is Jim White, Simon Jordan and Spencer Oliver. We're talking boxing live on talkSPORT this Thursday lunchtime, courtesy of Selco. It's where the trade goes. And of course, this Saturday, as we have been discussing Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford fight for the undisputed world super middleweight titles live on Netflix in Vegas. Our man on the ground over there, Adam Catterall, sat down with Crawford yesterday and he put the question straight to him. How does Crawford even begin to measure the challenge in Canelo that stands in front of him?
History stands in front of me, you know, and legacy. All the great fighters, you know, rose in times like this, and I'm looking forward to doing the same.
When was the first time that you realized that you were great?
When I first started, you know. I always had that belief that I was great. You know, I just needed the opportunity.
Talk to me about this opportunity, because I've seen you speak about opportunity and you've had to wait. Now those opportunities are coming. I think the world is waking up to the greatness of what you are. Talk to me about the opportunity being presented to do what you could potentially do on Saturday night.
Oh man, this is the biggest opportunity of my career, you know, and this is the opportunity to become, you know, the first 3-weight world champion, undisputed. You know, it don't get no bigger than that, especially fighting a guy like Canelo, who's, you know, been undefeated in this weight class, who's, you know, railroaded everybody that stepped in front of him in this weight class. So this is a massive fight. It's the biggest fight in boxing, and I'm looking forward to it.
There's an amazing stat around the fight as well. I think between you've had 750 rounds of professional boxing, and neither of you have touched the canvas at any point in that period of time. Do you think something's got to give come Saturday night?
We shall see. We shall see.
About that challenge, though, do you think that you do have to stop him with it being a Mexican holiday weekend in Las Vegas, or do you think that you can put in a performance where people at the end of it go, wow?
Just, you know, I don't focus on, you know, the stoppage. I just got to focus on winning, you know, winning in tremendous fashion, you know, not letting up. That's it.
Terence Crawford in conversation with Adam Catterall. Simon Spencer, if he wins, Crawford would end up unbeaten, undisputed 3-weight world champion. I mean, so much is on the line, but the reward for him is enormous.
Absolutely. It's career-defining, legacy-defining as well. You go, no one's done that. You know, you have to go back a long time to see anybody achieve those sort of heights. So it's huge for him. I think there's more pressure on Canelo, being that he's the 168 fighter. I mean, he's been dominant now since 2014. You go back to 2014. I think it was actually before that, 2011, when he beat Matthew Hatton for the super welterweight title. He's gone through the divisions, even gone up to light heavyweight and beat Kovalev at light heavyweight, which was a great performance from Canelo. But I think this really, if Terence Crawford pulls this off, moves up the weight divisions the way that he's gone through them. Ricky Burns, 2014, that's what it was. Ricky Burns he beat in 2014 at the Scottish Exhibition Centre. You look at that as a lightweight and you see what he's achieved now. You know, 4 weight division world champion, looking to become 3-time undisputed. He will go down as the best to ever do it. He'll have to. Well, he's in that argument anyway.
Yes, yeah. I mean, those who are lucky enough to be there, Simon, are going to witness something special.
One hopes, yeah.
What do you think of that potential achievement by Crawford should he pull it off?
Well, let's get it right. Even if he doesn't, his performances and his career have been remarkable anyway. I mean, this is the cherry on top of the cake for him in terms of 3 weights, and done in such recent times in terms of jumping through the divisions so quickly. I mean, he's a remarkable fighter. I mean, I remember him coming over to fight Ricky Burns, and people weren't sure of him. And then with due respect to Ricky got his head boxed off in that fight, didn't he?
He did.
And the levels were shown. And Ricky was a very, very decent world champion, wasn't he?
He was a 3-weight world champion himself. He was very capable.
Absolutely. And Terence Crawford was on a different plane. I mean, this is a remarkable athlete. This is a remarkable boxer. I mean, the fight against Errol Spence, some people might make the case that Errol Spence wasn't quite the same after the car accident. I don't know about that. Terence Crawford was so superb that I don't think it really mattered whether Errol Spence was the best version of himself or a slightly diminished one, given the challenges of the circumstances he found himself in. I think this is a fascinating fight. I don't know if anyone touches the canvas in this fight. My view and our view, I think, is that Crawford wins it on points. I don't see him stopping.
No.
Canelo, do you?
I don't either. I mean, look, Canelo's had to adapt over the years for sure as he's moved through those weight divisions and he's got older. Like, he's 35 years of age now. I know Crawford's 37, but Canelo's been a pro for 20 years now. 20 years. So he's had to adapt and he now slowed down. Where he used to be a combination puncher, he now throws single shots to the head and body. That's why I picked Crawford, by the way, because I think he's smoother. I think his boxing skills are better. He puts his shots together better and moving up the weights. Like I said, I don't think it's as big a factor as people make out it is because he does come down from such a big weight. He's a big guy. You see them head to head now. He's actually bigger than Canelo Alvarez. So, look, I don't think anyone... I think that...
Is he trading a little bit off... And this is going to sound like a really ridiculous statement to make. Is he trading a little bit off Crawford's currency? Because we all know what Saul Alvarez is, right? And we all know the greatness of his achievements, but we also know the observations that are being made, and fair ones that are being made by people like Paulie Malignaggi, that he has avoided people through a long periods of his career. So you've got a two-weight world champion coming up now with loads of currency behind him, and so I was prepared to fight him. He's got plenty of money. He's already been paid plenty of money. Mm-hmm. He's not going to get paid plenty more money for fighting Terence Crawford in terms of what he's already got. So is there an element of he beats Crawford? Because the argument is being raged, who's the pound for pound out of this? If Saul Alvarez beats Terence Crawford, he's not pound for pound the best fighter in the world. If the other way around, Crawford does, then he is, isn't he?
Absolutely. Listen, it all goes in Crawford's favour because if he pulls off the unthinkable and beats Canelo Alvarez at 168, yes, he goes down. And you go, Canelo Alvarez has been guilty of avoiding fighters in recent times. Benavidez is that guy that we're talking about. You know, that fight they've been trying to push for over 12 months now. And Canelo Alvarez has been picking people like Balanga, who's now turned out to be not as good as what they were trying to achieve. And William Skull last time out. So, you know, he's been guilty of avoiding fighters. And this one, you go, it's a calculated gamble from Canelo Alvarez side because, yes, Terence Crawford is an all-time great in the welterweight division. Yeah, he's stepping up now a couple of weight divisions, and Canelo will feel that he'll have strength and size over him.
Okay. That one coming up in Vegas at the weekend is an enormous fight as well. An enormous fight here would be, should it happen, AJ against Fury. We'll talk about that. Might it happen? AJ's been talking about the possibility of it. And one we know is happening is that the stage is very much set in Northern Ireland for Crocker versus Donovan 2. And we'll look at that next. Coming up to 12:30.
And Postecoglou understands the responsibility of taking charge at Nottingham Forest. He's spoken to the club's media channel.
I'm honoured, I'm humbled, but more importantly, really determined to make sure that this football club takes its rightful place.
Forest go to Arsenal next. That's live on talkSPORT this Saturday lunchtime. Next, Thomas Tuchel's more than ready to leave out England's big names, saying the competition is on ahead of next summer's World Cup. Well, talkSPORT's Dean Ashton's worried about the lack of decent opposition in England's 34 games since losing to France in Qatar.
We've played 8 against the top 20 nations in the current rankings. 8. And those, obviously, some of those are in tournaments that the FA don't arrange.
Yeah.
We've won 3. Yeah. 2 of them were against Italy.
Meanwhile, FIFA's accused of living in a parallel universe over its dynamic pricing policy for World Cup tickets, meaning some fans could pay more for the same seats. Football supporters Europe say FIFA doesn't really care about the fans. Well, FIFA say their model reflects what's already happening in North America, and profits are used to grow the game. And after leaving Man United, free agent Christian Eriksen's joined Wolfsburg on a 2-year deal. And there's more on this at talksport.com.
You know, when you think of it, Windsor Park in Belfast, I think of some of the greats who have played for Northern Ireland. George Best, of course, Jerry Armstrong. This Saturday, Windsor Park in Northern Ireland plays host to the rematch between Paddy Donovan and Lewis Crocker, with the IBF welterweight title very much on the line. Who's going to come out as world champion at the end of the night? Now, the two fought in March, and this one was filled with controversy and drama as Donovan was disqualified after the 8th round for a punch after the bell. The disqualification was the first defeat of Donovan's career, while Lewis Crocker extended his unbeaten record to 21 wins with 11 knockouts. You would have to think Paddy Donovan wants to right the wrong, if it was indeed wrong, the decision that night. I'm delighted to say that Paddy joins us live with Simon, myself and Spencer on the show this lunchtime. Paddy, good afternoon. How do you look back on that night in March?
Thank you for having me, guys. It's great to be back on talkSPORT. Yeah, it's been a strange feeling for the last few months. It was a feeling that I wasn't used to, the way the fight panned out on the night. And yeah, but look, we're back in Windsor Park, we're back in Belfast, and I'm excited for this world title fight against Lewis Crocker.
Paddy, the fight would seem to be going your way last time out. The momentum was clearly with you. You had Lewis Crocker on the floor, I don't know, 20 seconds before that or so. Do you feel hard done by with that? Because with the momentum of a shot, speaking as the next fighter, I know that once you're starting to let that shot go, the bell rung mid that delivery and the shot was landed and you was thrown out off that one. Do you feel hard done by that you was actually thrown out because you was clearly taking control and you was only moments away from the stoppage anyway?
Yeah, as you said, Spencer, I was totally dominating the fight from round one. Realistically, was in cruise control throughout the fight. And yeah, the 8th round changed the fight. The points getting taken away changed my momentum to go forward a bit more, which I took it to Lewis, obviously dropping him in the 8th round. And yeah, went for the finish. There was the timekeeper didn't hit the last 10, just went for the finish, and all the chaos happened.
I mean, that was for an eliminator for the world title. You now get this shot, this opportunity now, the rematch for the IBF World Welterweight title. What does that mean to you?
Yeah, it's massive. It's massive for the country of Ireland. It's massive for me, for my family, for everyone involved. The work that Andy's been in, my dad has been in for so many years, and Keith O'Sullivan. We're in a great position. If you said to me back in March, Paddy, you'd be fighting Lewis Crocker in Belfast again, but this time for the world title, would I take that? I take it with both hands. So delighted to be in this position.
Does it put extra pressure on you, Paddy, what actually happened back in March? Or do you use this as some kind of extra incentive to get the job done this time?
No, look, I believe it's God's plan after the way the fight panned out and the IBF. Keith O'Sullivan, my manager, put in a great repeal with the IBF Commission and they ruled in my favour. And when I got the go-ahead and heard that there's going to be a rematch for the world title, I was absolutely thrilled. So to be in this position, as I said, to be back in Belfast, I'm really, really excited.
Be interesting this time, Simon. You recall what happened in that?
Yeah, no,
first
I watched
one?
the fight. And Paddy's description of it, I think, is it's pretty much how we, both myself and Spencer, saw it, and we were talking about before. You know, he can feel hard done by it. The fact that all roads have led to a better outcome potentially, I can't see anything changing in this second fight. The dominance that Paddy had in the first fight. I mean, Lewis went into this fight as the favourite, and most people's perception was that Lewis was going to beat Paddy. Obviously, Paddy didn't have that, and neither did Andy. And now he knows that the damage that he can do to Lewis Crawford. Yeah. I don't see anything other than a similar outcome this time round without the controversial intervention, Spence.
No, I think that it was clear to see that Paddy Donovan had the skill set and he was taking control of the fight. I suppose the question to you here, Paddy, is that the atmosphere out there in Belfast, Windsor Park, is going to be absolutely insane. And you're going to have to keep your ears open, mate, and make sure you hear that bell when it rings, because we know what the Irish fans are like.
Yeah, we got to tune in, be more disciplined in this one. Yeah, look, I'm excited. It's the biggest venue that I've fought in. It's not the mean Lewis Crocker's used to be honest. So we're excited. I'm excited to see how the fans are going to react. But yeah, look, well, all that matters is what gets done in the ring. And I think if I perform the way I'm performing in the gym, I think it's going to be a great night for Team Donovan.
Paddy, just before we leave you, I mean, Lewis Crocker's no fool, is he? When you look at it, in the process of getting the nod over you in March, he extended his unbeaten record to 21 wins, 11 knockouts. So you know the kind of calibre of guy in front of you, don't you?
Yeah, look, Lewis is a great fighter. I can't take anything away from his achievements. He hasn't won what I believe is 20 fights on his record for nothing. So he's earned his position to fight for a world title. But I just feel like it's my time. I feel like it's my hour, the work I've put in for so many years. And the way I'm performing, I just think I'm that level above Lewis, and I'm going to show that come Saturday night.
Do you know, just before we leave you, Paddy, that this is the first time ever that two fighters from the island of Ireland will contest for world honours. So it's a moment in time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's history making. It's history making for everyone involved in Ireland, and you can see in the crowds, you can see in the fans, the normal people walking the streets in general. You can see the different buzz that the rematch has brought around this time, and obviously the world title on the line just takes it to another level. So I'm delighted to be involved. And I'm excited, as I said, for Saturday night.
Judging by your team at your back, everyone's very calm and composed ahead of the task ahead, are they?
Yeah, well, cool, calm, collective. That's the way we're trained. That's the way we're disciplined to be. And yeah, we're just going to work on the performance. That's the most important thing. It's a great week here in Belfast. We're going to absorb it all and get the job done Saturday.
We know how much they love their boxing over there in Ireland, mate, and it's going to be difficult to keep those emotions in check, and I think that's the importance here. You talk there about discipline, and that is very important going into this one, isn't it?
Yeah, look, I'm grown in the sport. It's my first time being in this position fighting for a world title. So it's a learning curve for me, even though I feel like I'm a veteran in our gym at the moment and the experience that I have, but I'm still learning. So yeah, we've been more disciplined in the gym. We've been working on new things, and we're just very excited now to display it.
You've got Crocker in your mind. Just before you go, give me a name. What do you think elsewhere in Vegas, Paddy? What do you think, Canelo or Crawford?
Crawford, I think. I'm going to go with Crawford.
Yeah, that's a consensus back here. Paddy, good luck. Thank you very much indeed, Paddy Donovan, with us live this lunchtime, and of course this Saturday. As you now know, Paddy goes into another fight with Lewis Crocker for the IBF welterweight title, and you can watch it live only on DAZN. Should be interesting this time. If you're Crocker, you want to come out with a similar result, don't you?
Well, yeah,
not in that fashion, but he wants to win.
Achieved it because he was about to lose.
Yeah.
So I don't see how this gets changed. I think the dominance and the difference between the two fighters was so vast in that fight, and I was surprised because I thought Crocker would have the measure of him. So Paddy Donovan goes into this with bags of confidence, not just right and a wrong, but knowing that he can do damage to Lewis Crocker. Lewis Crocker doesn't know what he can do to Paddy Donovan because he couldn't do it first time round.
Paddy Donovan is the guy that has the skill set. He has all that movement, and he works the angles, etc., etc. Lewis Crocker's one of the guys that was meant to come with the strength and walk forward, but exactly. Paddy Donovan actually met him head to head for that. So I think Billy Nelson and the team are going to have to they're the ones that have got to adapt, adjust, and if they can do that, then we've got a great fight. I mean, two great fighters. The last one was turning into a barn burner, but it was going Donovan's way.
Would Crocker have taken this rematch if there wasn't the belt on the line or the opportunity to win a belt?
Possibly not, but I think that you said the word there, it's opportunity, and this is a world title.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you look at that, you just go, when am I going to get
worked out well, isn't it? It's worked out well.
It really has.
Briefly, guys, before we hit the final break today, is there still an insatiable appetite for Tyson Fury against Anthony Joshua? You'll have noticed on Instagram, AJ's been spouting forth. He was talking about Joseph Parker, and he says he's very proud of what Joseph Parker has achieved. Now we know that Parker's going in against Fabio Wardley. And then he says, Spencer, unlike his dippy mate, Tyson Fury, I would dissect his career and his record in minutes, but I'll leave that for a potential gloves off if he ever comes back in fights. He says, to my supporters, I'll be back to lace up my boots and put on my gloves sooner rather than later, hopefully punching Fury's head in and dancing around his flicker jab with ease.
We're in a crossing of the times right now. We've got this younger generation coming through. Moses Atama being the leader of that pack right now, and Joseph Parker doing so well. But, he's only 32 years of age himself. And you go, Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury. It's the only fight for both of them out there right now. That's where we're at with it now. Of course, Anthony Joshua is going to be calling out Tyson Fury. Let's hope that Fury takes the bait, because for both of them, I think it's career-defining, legacy-defining. And the British public want to see it. So let's hope that we get it.
Do you want to see it, Spencer?
Of course I do. Listen,
you, Simon?
We may be 5 years too late, but I still want to see it.
Yeah, I don't have an aversion to seeing it. Obviously, Spencer doesn't really want to say the real fact of it is the only fight that he can have is Fury, because anything worth it. Because if he put Joshua with anybody else, he could get beat. And then the fight with Fury just goes.
Well, I think you get to a stage, Simon, when you hit a certain age and you see the decline, and let's have it right, that both guys are not now at their peak. There is a decline there. You get to a certain age, you go, after you've achieved what you've achieved, and they've both achieved great things in the sport, and that is the only fight for both of them, because they are on par.
But I think you could put Fury back in the ring with a variety of the top 10 heavyweights, and I think he'll still get an outcome. I think if you put Joshua back in the ring with a top 10 heavyweight, I think he gets beat again.
I'll agree to disagree on that one, because I'm not sure that, I think this new generation of heavyweights coming through.
You once called it, Simon, it would potentially the battle of the losers.
Well, it is. But in its broadest terms, they're not winners anymore. They're not the heavyweight champions of the world. It hasn't had the same intrigue. That doesn't mean that they're losers per se. It means that ultimately, in this instance, everyone's talking about who wins heavyweight titles. We're talking about who gets paid for fighting a fight that could have happened 5 or 6 years ago and had some meaning. What's the meaning of this fight?
But the
meaning of this fight is money.
Commercially, this is still the biggest fight in boxing.
Indeed it is.
And that is the importance of it. So it's all about
the
bragging
losers win
rights
financially.
It's all about bragging rights. But whether you love it or whether you hate it, it's still the biggest fight in boxing.
I'd watch it.
Oh, yeah.
I'd watch it.
Oh, my goodness, yeah. It's the one we've been waiting for so long. Is it not? It's 1:45 when we come back. We're going to be talking boxing with British heavyweight fighter Dave Allen. Stay with us.
Boxing Update on talkSPORT with DAZN, the global home of boxing. Sign up now at dazn.com/boxing.
It is Thursday lunchtime. It's Jim White, Simon Jordan and Spencer Oliver, and we are live on talkSPORT, courtesy of Selco. It's where the trade goes, and of course we're talking boxing. And another big fight on the horizon, because the Sheffield Arena is the venue on October the 11th, and the hugely popular Dave Allen, British heavyweight boxer, who's enjoying something of a revival, goes in against the pretty dangerous Arslanbek Makhmudov. And of course, all the talk is, can Dave see him off and continue this quite astonishing revival to his career? Makhmudov, for him, he arrives 20-2, so he's lost twice in his career so far, but undefeated through 18 fights, although suffered a stoppage, and who wouldn't grumble about this, being stopped by Ajit Kabayel in December 2023. So how does Dave feel about going in against Makhmudov at this stage in his career? Dave Allen joins us live. Dave, good afternoon. I mean, one thing you've got in your favour here, mate, is a hugely passionate crowd in the Sheffield Arena who will be right behind you.
Yeah, I spoke to Ed when we announced the fight, and I was worrying we weren't going to sell it. We weren't going to sell half of it. We weren't sure what we were going to sell really. But yeah, we've just surpassed 8,000 ticket sales. So you know we might reach 10,000 in there, which will be as busy as it's been for probably 15 years. So yeah, the support's been great. And the training's gone well as well. The training's gone better than it ever has before. People will say, "Well, that's not hard to do," but yeah, we've really kicked on, and yeah, looking forward to it.
Dave, you're coming off that great win, obviously, over Johnny Fisher. Now you get Makhmudov in front of you, who is a tough campaigner, you know, a very heavy-handed guy. All right, he's lost 2 of his last 4, but he's still very, very dangerous. How did you come to picking him as an opponent?
Yeah, I think it's a big step up from Johnny Fisher. Johnny Fisher's a good fighter, but, you know, still probably in the embryonic stage of his career, still a bit of a novice. So Makhmudov's a big step up. I don't think he's the best heavyweight in the world, but he's certainly probably in the top 20, top 25. He's definitely one of the most dangerous fighters as well. So I was given a list of opponents to choose from. And again, it really came from how we're going to get Sheffield Arena pretty full. You know, you get a guy who's 6'7", nearly 20 stone, a Russian fella. He looks the part. So I wanted the biggest challenge. I'm 33 now. I'm not going to be boxing forever. So why not? You know, I want to try and storm onto the world scene, and beating him would do that. So I thought, yeah, why not? Risk and reward. It made sense.
How have you had this change of lifestyle, really, Dave? Like, if you go back, you know, just a couple of years when you're losing to the likes of people like Fraser Clark over 10 rounds, and you wonder where your career is actually going, where is this new found burning desire come from?
My kids, you know, that's it, really. Yeah, I'm away from them all week. I ring them 23 times a day, you know. I'm away from home. I miss them. I'm away from home. So if I'm away from home, I'm gonna have to work hard. You know, there's no excuse to be away from them if I'm away just being lazy. So the training's been great. I've just had some pineapple actually. I don't really like pineapple, but meant to be good for me. So eating all that stuff.
Listen, do you think your kids would recognise you with that beard, mate? Because that's sort of growing a little bit out of control, isn't it?
Yeah, I've always been one of the most handsome men in British boxing on the slide. Not right now, though, but fight week, get an haircut, get a beard trim, I'll be unrecognisable again.
Dave, Makhmudov, for his part, he had a video that went viral. You'll probably be aware of it. There he is for everybody watching on TV this lunchtime. Makhmudov, that's him on the left, wrestling with an extremely big bear in the woods. Now, why he was doing this is anyone's guess. It's an unusual sparring technique, but it's difficult for you to reciprocate, isn't it? Because there ain't many grizzlies in Doncaster.
Yeah, I've seen all that stuff. Yeah, I've watched him box. You know, I know he's a good fighter. I've seen some interviews with him. He doesn't seem as scary as his physical appearance is. He seems like a nice guy. He can do whatever he wants. In my spare time, I play Football Manager, Pokemon. You know, I watch the YouTube. I nap a lot. I'm not wrestling bears in my spare time. I've got better things to be doing.
Dave, a dream for you was a career dream for you was to win that British title. Is that dream still the same, or are you looking past that now? Are you looking beyond that now? Because it's amazing what we can do with one win, you know, in this boxing world right now. It changes your career totally. Where are you at right now?
I have to concentrate on Makhmudov. I've been here loads of times. When I fought David Price, I'd already agreed to fight Povetkin. You know, I was already planning on boxing Anthony Joshua at Wembley. That was already planned 6 years ago. So I've been here before, and it's good to dream, and sometimes it helps me get out of bed in the morning and train hard, but I have to beat Makhmudov. But yeah, I have ambition now. I've found ambition. It was something I never really had in my life. I never had any ambition. I didn't have ambition to get to the top of boxing. I was happy in my little house with my little life, doing what I was doing, just plodding on really. But I found ambition now. I want my kids to have nice things. And you know what? I don't really want nice things, but when I retire, I want to get fat on nice food. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to get fat cheap. I want to get fat on that expensive stuff. So, yeah, I'm on the ball now. I'm ready. I'm really ready for this fight. Yeah.
Well, listen,
you're serious about it. You're drinking pineapple juice. I mean, that's a start.
Jim, he's been guilty of getting fat during his career. That's been his big problem in the past. But you're in great shape right now, mate. Training with Nigel Travis and Jamie Moore has been career changing for you, isn't it?
Yeah, massively. You know, they've been good for me. You know, I think I've had ability for many years. I was a national amateur champion 14 years ago. I never really kicked on. Life gets in the way sometimes. I've had some good times. You know, I had a good time in my early 20s, mid 20s. I had some bad times as well, but I probably enjoyed myself too much. But come over here with Jay and Nige. They're my friends, you know. They're my friends, and I want to achieve for them. My success is their success. You know, I've been at loads of different gyms. I've trained with some of the best coaches, you know, in the UK. But Jamie and Nige, I want to achieve for them as well as myself. So, yeah, I'm actually quite excited for the fight. I never really get excited. Usually, I'm nervous, or you know, maybe not even nervous, maybe apprehensive. But I put the work in. And if I'm good enough, I'm good enough. And if I'm not, I'm not. But I can be proud of myself for probably the first time in my career. So I'm in a good place.
You sure are. Dave, it's great to hear from you this lunchtime. And I, for one, hope you go out there and do a job on Makhmudov and get the win that would be so richly deserved by you, the way you apply yourself these days. Well done, mate. We look forward to it.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Terrific. It would be great if you can do it, wouldn't it? He's such a humble individual, such a popular guy.
He's a great character who's been on life's journey as well. You know, he's had his ups and downs. He's suffered with depression, and you know, he's pulled himself around. It's quite inspiring, and yeah, he's in a great place right now, and we wish him all the best for sure.
Yeah, I wonder.
Absolutely.
Was that a real bear in the woods, incidentally?
I'm sure it was. Have you seen the size of this fella? I was going to say, did you have a beauty parade to pick from for fighters? And I realised that bringing Makhmudov into a beauty parade was not going to be the right language.
I hope he wins it though, Simon. Dave Allen.
Oh, absolutely.
Love him to win.
I love listening to him. I think he's such a funny. He's very funny, and he knows he's funny, but he just does it from a very natural standpoint. The way he speaks about things.
Yeah.
And you want him when he talks about what he wants for his kids and what he wants for the outcomes of his life. You want it for him.
You do.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Spencer, thanking you.
Thank you,
wonderful.
sir.
Dave Allen going in, incidentally, against Makhmudov, fast approaching on October the 11th. We're flying through the month, are we not? Simon, I shall see you again soon. It is officially Thursday lunchtime, and that means we're coming up to 1 o'clock.